All right, let's call the meeting to order at 6:18 p.m. Thank you everyone for coming to today's Porter Ranch Neighborhood Council meeting. My name is Gabriel Callen. I am the president of the council. I have a few announcements to make. This meeting is being recorded and the recording will be available on our PRNC YouTube page as well as our webpage, prnc.org. All meeting attendees will be automatically muted when they join the meeting. Attendees may address the board in one of two situations: comment on an agenda item or provide general public comment. After each agenda item is read out loud and before a board vote is taken on that item, if any, I ask if any member of the public wishes to address the board regarding the agenda item being considered. At that time, the meeting attendees can electronically raise their hand to speak by pressing *9 if they are using a telephone for audio, or clicking the raise your hand button on Zoom. That will prompt the president that you wish to speak. I'll go down the list of those who raise their hand, turn on their audio one at a time, and ask him or her to go ahead and provide comment within a specific period of time. When the speaker's time expires, I'll let the speaker know their time has expired, thank them for their comment, and turn off the audio for that speaker. This process will continue until all attendees who raised their hands spoke. At that time, the board will discuss the motion and take a vote if they choose so. As noted in the meeting agenda, there is an item dedicated to public comment on the items not on the agenda, but within the purview of the board. When the item comes up in the course of the meeting, I'll ask if any member of the public wishes to address the board regarding any issue that is not on the agenda, but is within the domain of the board's action and capabilities. At that time, the meeting attendees can electronically raise their hand to speak using the same procedures described previously. Please note that under Brown's Act, the board is prevented from discussing or acting on a matter that is brought to its attention during the general public comment period. However, the issue raised by a member of the public may become the subject of a future board meeting. Public comment is limited to 2 minutes per speaker unless adjusted by the presiding officer at his or her discretion. All righty, roll call. Becky, please.
Okay, David Lasher,
Yes.
David Balin,
Present.
Hilda Sarkisian,
Here.
Jason Hector,
Present.
Luis Ramirez, absent, Becky Levesque, present, Brandy Grace,
Present.
The
Jennifer.
note taker has her hand raised.
Okay. Do you want me to continue?
ahead.
That was an error. I'm writing down the roll on my keyboard. That's an error, sorry.
No problem. Thank you. Becky, continue.
All right, did we get Brandy Grace?
Yes.
Okay, Jennifer Abraham, absent, Voss Singh,
Here.
and Christine Demerchian, absent, and Gabriel Conley.
Here.
Okay, we have quorum.
8-3 quorum. Thank you, Becky. Let's move on. And let's do the Pledge of Allegiance.
Please stand. Put your right hand over your heart. Ready, begin. I pledge
Allegiance
Yeah.
to the flag
Okay.
of the United States of America,
And to the
to the
republic
republic
for which it stands, one nation,
Under
under
God,
God, indivisible,
with
liberty
liberty
and
and
justice for all.
justice for all.
justice for all. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. All right, next item is president's comments. I know Jason wanted me to share the screen real quick with the agenda. 1 second.
Thank you, Gabriel. Just makes it easier to follow along.
No worries. Let me just pull everything forward. Everybody can see the agenda?
Yes.
Perfect.
Excellent. All right. I want to start off by thanking everyone for attending today's meeting. I also want to thank all the board members as well as the public officials and their reps for attending today. We always appreciate the updated information you provide to the stakeholders and the opportunity to give everyone opportunity to ask questions. I have a few announcements to make. The first one is I did attend the Unforgettable Educator event at the Knollwood Country Club a few weeks ago. It was a great event. Awards were given to local school teachers which were very well deserved. Thank you for all the teachers working hard in these hard times. Next, I wanted to give everybody an update about the Wilbur and Rinaldi project. I spoke to the owners and they are in the final plan check awaiting for final permits. No further updates are available at this time. I did run into an article recently that we have an Ace Hardware store coming to Porter Ranch. They have leased out the old Toys R Us location and are planning to open early 2023. I am upset that we were not notified before the signing, but hope they can attend one of our future meetings to give us some updates and information. Next is we recently received an invite to have a booth at Devonshire's LAPD National Night Out on August 2nd, 2022. Setup is at 3:30 to 5:30 and booth hours will be 6 to 8. They will provide us a chair and 2 tables, but I do not want to commit yet based on past board participation. I would love us to be there at the event, and I am bringing this up now, hoping there will be a few volunteers that will be interested in working the booth for a few hours to show support to our community. I'm grateful Devonshire thought of us, and I truly hope we can get volunteers to show presence. Please email me. Let me know if you're available, interested urgently so I can commit. This will have no cost to us other than the positive exposure we will receive. So please, board, for once again, I hope we get slammed with volunteers and represent Porter Ranch. Next announcement will be that God Entertainment is doing its 30th year, 17th annual celebrity golf event on December 5th, 2022 at the Porter Valley Country Club. If you're interested, please visit ltglshow.com for more information, and I'll have more information in coming days. And last, I'm still waiting on positive news regarding us starting in-person meetings, but sadly, I yet to receive one. Now that many agencies have started having in-person meetings, I hope Empower LA can give us some good news soon. I believe that in-person meetings are much more productive and efficient and more personal than Zoom meetings. Now let's start a meeting with positive energy. Next item will be updates from elected officials and city governments. Oh, I have 2 hands up.
You have 3.
3 hands up. All right. Becky, go ahead.
Okay, my question is the night out at Devonshire, what are
Yes.
the hours that you're looking for volunteers?
The hours were 1 second. It'll be the setup, which there's not much setup to do. It's 3:30 to 5:30 is the setup, and 5:30 to 8 o'clock is the event.
It's not very many hours.
No, it's a
Okay.
few hours.
All right, well, I'll volunteer.
And we're gonna have a lot of new outreach products that we just ordered, so we're gonna have a lot of stuff to be able to give away and have fun with.
Thank you.
Thank you. Hilda,
Yeah, I just noticed that August 2nd is a Tuesday. Is that correct?
let me check the calendar. Yes, it is.
Yeah, I will commit. Hopefully I'm not out of town, so you can put me down.
Perfect. Thank you. Randy?
I was just confirming the date. I teach at that time. Damn it.
Gotcha. Thank you. Jason?
I was just gonna say, I forget what they call it, but you know where you send something out and then people can pick slots?
A doodle? I think it's doodle.
Yeah, that's the best thing. If you send that out, then I can, try and pick a slot too.
Cool. I just want a lot of people participating, especially we support Devonshire and they're giving us this opportunity. So I just want to.
Well, if you use that feature, it really helps us because then we can kind of, it simplifies things.
Perfect. I will
Right.
do that. Thank you, Jason. And David Balin?
And I'll juggle between, CPAP and PRNC. So let me know.
Awesome.
Yep.
Awesome. Thank you. And I have an attendee comment. Garrett, okay, you'll be on next item. And with no further questions on my announcements, let's go to public reps. Garrett, the floor is yours.
Hello, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes, let me bring you in 1 second.
Thanks.
There you go.
Perfect. Thank you guys so much for having me. I really appreciate it. I'll keep the update here as brief as I can. So just a couple items here on the list that I have from the Congressman's office. One of the notable bills that was voted on was HR 2499, and that was the Federal Firefighters Fairness Act. The Congressman supported this bill because it provides federal workers' compensation to firefighters who contract certain illnesses as a result of fighting fires, like the ones we see here in California. Moving on to the co-sponsored bills, there was House Resolution 386, and that resolution expressed support for recognizing National Police Week, which is May 15th through May 21st of this year. A few other notable items that have happened here recently in the Congressman's office. The Congressman signed on to a letter of support on behalf of Metrolink for a $45 million raise grant for the purchase of 10 new locomotives to replace the 10 aging, higher polluting locomotives. The Congressman also signed on to a letter to the Biden administration urging the administration to address staffing issues in federal agencies that are contributing to backlogs for constituents. The Congressman also signed a letter to the FDA on the ongoing baby formula shortage. The shortage has been exacerbated by the FDA's refusal to allow the reopening, limited or otherwise, of a Michigan formula facility that the FDA shut down in February. So that's what that letter will address. The Congressman also signed on to a letter in support of Finland and Sweden's expedition into NATO. And the Congressman also signed on to a letter to the Biden administration asking them to provide communications and documents related to the amendments to the World Health Organization international health regulations. And then just a quick few updates here in the district. As I believe I mentioned last time, the Taxpayer Problem Solving Day is coming up. And that's going to be on Saturday, June 18th. It'll be from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. at College of the Canyons, the University Center, room 272. And the Congressman's office will be coordinating with representatives from the Taxpayers Advocates Group and the IRS to address any taxpayer issues that anyone in the community might have. And so for registration for the event, you'll actually go through the Taxpayer Advocates Group. They're the ones putting all the registration together for that. And the contact you'll reach out to, her name is Alma, A-L-M-A, and her phone number is area code 559-548-9309. And please feel free to reach out to Alma to schedule an appointment if that's something you might be interested in. And then after that, we've got some roundtables and town halls that will be coming up. The Congressman's office is still putting those together. They'll be probably coming up here. I'm thinking more toward the summer months, but I know we're getting close to that. So any information that comes out on that, you're more than welcome to visit the Congressman's website to see movement on that. And of course, if I get any information, I'd be happy to bring it to the group here. And the Congressman's website will be Mike Garcia, first and last name together, no capitals. So mikegarcia.house.gov. And then, of course, anybody in the district can feel free to reach out to our Santa Clarita office. Again, that phone number and all the contact information is on the Congressman's website, mikegarcia.house.gov. Thank you guys very much. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Garrett. Jason, you have a question for him?
Yeah, you brought up the firefighters and that's
Yes.
the bill and everything. And I just wanted to mention, we have a lot of, we had the Saddle Ridge fire here, and this is on our agenda towards the end of our meeting, but it really left a lot of burned out wood, and it's serious problem here in our community in Rexon Park. So I just wanted to bring that to your attention. This is some of the issues we're facing. Here is the risk of wildfires, and we need help. So I just wanted to express that to the Congressman, and
Absolutely.
I appreciate your attendance in our meeting. And yeah, just a comment, I guess. Not
Absolutely. I'd be happy to pass it on. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Garrett. Thank you, Jason. Brandy?
Thank you. Thank you for coming.
Of course.
So last month we had an attendee that asked the question you said you'd come back on, and I did some research. They had asked about the Congressman's stance on Roe v. Wade. So I just wanted to confirm with you what I found. I found that the Congressman signed an amicus brief asking the Supreme Court to overturn Roe v. Wade, and he is listed as a co-sponsor according to congress.gov. He's a co-sponsor of the Life at Conception Act, which is a fetal personhood bill to recognize life at conception.
Yes, correct. I've also was provided with that information, but as far as a direct statement on Roe v. Wade and what will be coming out potentially with the information that came out on the vote, I don't have a direct comment. I did ask for one, but I was not provided one for that. But I was told that if any upcoming information that the congressman might want to release about that will definitely be found on his website under the media section.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, of course, absolutely.
Thank you. Any further questions? With no further questions, thank you again for Garrett for being here. As always,
course.
you're always welcome and much appreciated. With the
Thank you very
update.
much, guys.
Thank you. All right, next, any other public officials? Public offices?
Assemblywoman Valladares.
There we go. Diana, let's bring you in.
Gibson has his hand up, had his hand up.
Okay, Gibson, yes.
I think if the assembly member is going to speak, I just would want to go after. If not, I can definitely go ahead.
Sure. You want to start or should Diana start?
Then I can start and then I'll go after.
Okay, Diana, floor is yours.
Hello, everyone. Thanks for having me. So I do have a brief legislative update. A couple of weeks ago was House of Origin Week, which means that all bills that originate in the Assembly must pass or the bill dies for the year. So Assemblywomen voted on over 500 different bills. As far as her legislative package, a couple of her bills did pass. She has AB 2450, which is a wildfire insurance bill that will increase access to homeowners insurance against wildfires. This bill requires the Department of Insurance to create a working group to study the feasibility of offering homeowners insurance policies that include deductibles for covered losses. She has AB 1847, which is a bill that would ensure crime victims are able to meaningfully participate in parole hearings. She has AB 2640, which is a food allergy bill that would require the Department of Education to provide school districts with a guide on the best practices for preparing food. And AB 321, which is a bill that will increase access to childcare services by requiring children from a family in which the primary language is not English to be added to the list of priority enrollment in state childcare. These bills now move on to the Senate. In the district, we're still dealing with a lot of EDD and housing cases, but the numbers are slowing down from last year, which is good. But just know that our office is always open to help with any state agency. And yeah, feel free to contact our office for any support or opposition on various bills of concern. The Assemblywoman wants us out in the field to see what's happening in the district and what we can do to help. So any feedback from you guys is great.
Thank you, Diana. Jason, you have a question?
I got feedback. Caltrans, we wrote the letter before, and we have a very difficult situation with Rinaldi and the 118 freeway. There's a place, Aliso Canyon Park, which is kind of where Zelza is. All the fences are cut along Rinaldi. We're having an issue with, the maintenance on the freeways. And, it's basically between, let's say, Balboa, within our district. So I just wanted to express to you that, we wrote the letter to Caltrans, but we did not see much, execution. And I'll just be very frank with you. Caltrans, their facility is right on the 118 and the 405, or I think it's the 5 interchange. They've been doing a lot of work over there. It looks great over there. Everything is trimmed and cleaned. All the trees are trimmed up, so they're safe. All the brush has been cleared. The weeds are gone around their facility, but they need to work their way back into our area because, and so if you want to go out in the field, if you can drive the 118 freeway on the north side and actually both sides and just see all the dead wood, because there was a third fire that just happened recently. Well, it's like a fourth or fifth fire. I mean, these fires just it's on and on and on and on and on. And I just feel like their approach is let it burn. But, that's not responsible. And the weeds are about 4 or 5 feet tall. And if you drive along Rinaldi, you'll see what I'm talking about. So, Aliso Canyon Park, along Rinaldi, the 118 freeway, the Tampa, Reseda exit, I just want to express we've expressed our concerns, but I'm kind of disappointed in Caltrans, to be honest with you.
Yeah, so we have been getting a lot of calls. We've gotten some calls about, I think, the street Los Alamos. There's a bunch of shrubs and stuff there against the freeway. We have contacted Caltrans multiple times. It says it's pending as far as our end, but we can definitely send a little bit more pushback on it.
I would recommend a drive-by. I'd recommend that you drive by Rinaldi and see all the gates that have been cut, all the fences that have been cut, all the weeds that are growing in the streets, and then circle back along the 118 freeway and just look at how thick that brush is. And it's not properly maintained, and it's just, we're gonna have more and more fires. And so, somebody's got to champion this issue, and I'm trying to do it. But we need, you guys have been there, but we got to keep pushing.
Yeah.
We were working with somebody before you, but I think you now are holding the torch, Diana.
Yeah, well, Anthony, I believe you guys
Yeah,
were
Anthony.
working with Anthony. He's still in our office and he deals with
Yeah.
a lot of
He'll
casework.
tell you.
So yeah, if you have more streets to send him or more, it was great.
Please
Well,
let
I
us not
am-
call it a drive-by. That's that's bad idea.
Yeah, no.
Let's do drive-bys.
We need some push, because if you go along Rinaldi and see how bad it is on the freeway, they're just letting everything grow as tall as it can grow. And it's not right, those should be maintained because you have houses nearby. Anyways,
Thank
I
you,
don't know.
Jason. Jason, can you email her the streets in question?
I keep saying it's Rinaldi and the 118 freeway. What do I
Yeah,
have?
so I'm assuming it's the entire,
Porter Ranch.
Yeah.
Within Porter Ranch. Let's just focus on Porter Ranch.
Perfect. Thank you,
yeah, okay,
Jason.
thank you.
118 and Rinaldi. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments for Diana? With no further questions, thank you, Diana, for being here.
Thank you.
As always, are you sticking around?
Yeah, I'll be here.
Awesome. Thank you. All right. Any other, anyone else for public offices, elected officials? Mr. Gibson, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. President. Hi, everybody.
Thank you.
Hopefully it's a happy Wednesday. Just want to touch base on a couple of things that were shared on the monthly profile. We made a couple editorial edits, so we're able to give you page numbers explaining what's on the monthly profile. But I just want to highlight a couple items that were brought up to our attention in the monthly profile. We informed everybody, we're asking all our boards to, and it's something I maybe I've mentioned a couple of times, is we're asking our boards to take action to where they are able to pay $200 for the next whole year for the Zoom account, because the department paid for it, but we're trying to help share the cost around. And so we ask our boards if they can do a $200 pay to help do a cost of $200 for the Zoom, because we're using the Zoom Enterprise account to which we're paying with the city. In addition to that, we're monitoring two state pieces of legislation. One is AB 1944. This is in regards to open and public meetings, where it requires governments to publicly permanently offer the option of virtual participation in public meetings. The bill would also allow local government bodies that meet remotely to waive the provision of the state's Brown Act that requires public officials to disclose their private address if they intend to participate in meetings virtually. The other one is AB 2499. This bill builds on the ability to use teleconferencing during a declared state of emergency, and would allow a local agency to use teleconferencing during a council meeting if at least a quorum of the members of the legislative body participates in person from a singular location that is identified on the agenda, that is open to the public and situated within the local agency's jurisdiction. So they are considered non-fiscal bills, so we are kind of just keeping track of them, and we wanted to keep everybody on that one. An update is we just want to let everybody know that the self-assessment as part of the funding process, the annual funding process, has been removed. We feel as though there will be an update as to some of those documents, as we've always worked with. So we just kind of, right, even though it's been removed, we feel like the reflective strategic planning tool is needed in the neighborhood council system. So I think what we're definitely doing is I, as the NEL, will be working with you to just come up with a self-assessment tool. Just wanted to let everybody know that the neighborhood council elections will begin November 26th. And so I will be reaching out to the president and the chair of the outreach committee or the elections committee and schedule a one-on-one. So I will be out of office for the next week. My brother is graduating from grad school, so I'll be flying to Seattle to celebrate him graduating with his PhD in biomolecular engineer. He's the smarter one of the two of us. I chose government, he chose to save the world of science. So and with that, if anybody has any questions, please let me know.
Thank you, Mr. Gibson. Just want to let you know we have a Zoom motion on as agenda item number 16.
Thank you, good sir.
I just don't, one question to you. The city is making us meet online and get Zoom. Why do we have to pay for something that the city is telling us to do? Wouldn't it be still the city's responsibility that we have to Zoom?
So I think that's a good question. I think it's just because we've been paying for the Zoom account every year and it's such a big cost. We're just asking if you guys can help us share the cost on this one. We're trying to figure out what would be the best assessment moving forward. So I think it may be subject to change in the foreseeable future, but I think this helps us ease the cost of the Zoom account because it does get expensive paying for the unlimited for all the features that we use on Zoom. Because Zoom charges for every single feature.
And then if the motion passes, is it coming? I'm pretty sure it has to come out of this budget, this fiscal year.
Yes.
Is it gonna be okay for using Zoom for next fiscal year, passing it this fiscal year?
So this the Zoom license will be going all the way into next year. So yes.
Okay, so we pay now and it lasts until next.
And it'll last
until next
the
fiscal.
whole year.
Gotcha. I see two questions. David Lasher.
I think Gibson sorted well. He didn't sort of answer it, but he went into it. I was going to ask if we go to regular meetings, in-person meetings soon, would we still have to pay that if we're not doing that? But if there's going to be a state law passed that requires us, that changes everything. But that said, it's only $200, but it'd be great not to have to eat that if we're not going to use Zoom in 2 or 3 months. But looks like that may be not a foregone conclusion.
Exactly. So I think one thing I like to just sort of assess that we don't know how things are consistently happening, why with different guidelines. What the department has also started working on is the Empower LA EVG work group. So we want to build a hybrid model. How does that look like for the neighborhood council system? We've seen that in a lot of boards, increased participation has occurred with folks being able to join in virtually. So how does that look like moving forward? And so it's still a consistent conversation in us establishing a new way of meeting, because I don't think we are going to be going back to the past, but it's also important for us to consider how we look like. And that's why we're sort of keeping track of assembly bills, trying to figure out how they'll impact all local governments, city council, commission meetings, neighborhood councils, all those issues.
It would stink if we have in-person meetings and the board is sitting in an auditorium and there's 2 people there and 5, 10, 15 people still coming online, and we're the only ones in the room in the school auditorium. That would not be ideal, but it may be the case. We'll see.
I think one thing also I'd like to sort of talk about is making sure that we have accessibility. So some folks are unable to be outside.
Yep.
I think it's just a balance.
Or they're disabled.
Exactly.
Can't get there. That makes perfect sense.
And we want to make sure that folks don't have any hindrances in participating in local government. And while it hasn't been smooth, we've also noticed that we can work with different teleconferencing platforms. Zoom has been the most effective in us having public meetings. So it's all within work. That's why we're trying to be proactive and have these work groups. Actually, one is occurring right now. And these work groups, what they do is they're helping us sort of think this through. How does that look like? Understanding all neighborhood councils, because some boards don't have access to high-speed internet. How does that look like for different types of organizations? So it's all these challenges that we need to be able to solve.
Thanks very much.
Thank you. Jason?
I do kind of like the hybrid model. I mean, I do want to get back in person like everybody. So I share that sentiment. But if it's only 200, it's $200 for the whole year. Is that what it is?
Yeah.
I mean, that's peanuts. So, I mean, but anyways, my main comment is, Gibson, we as the neighborhood council would like you as Empower LA to advocate for our budget to return back to the levels that it was prior to COVID. Because as we shift now towards more events, in person, things like that, we used to spend maybe 5,000 or 10,000 a year, and many of our neighboring councils do. Granada Hills, Chatsworth, they do a lot of big events, and those are very costly. And our budget has been, what did they cut our budget by? Was it 10,000 or 7,000 or something? I really would like you to ask of you kindly to pass to the general manager that, you should also push for our budget to increase for the neighborhood council back to pre-COVID levels as we, phase out of this pandemic. And, we all have to work together. So, we support you guys in what you need. We know that you're short of staff and everything. We know, so when I say we, I guess I mean myself, but I'm sure my colleagues on the board would agree. So you could bring that up. I think that's a very important issue that, down the road that the city council, as funding does become more stable and we get out of this pandemic, that, we're going to need money to do things in the community, but also to have events and things like that. So, we haven't had any events for like 3 years, I think.
Mhm. I think that's definitely, we'll pass the message forward. We'll bring it up during our team meeting.
Thank you, Mr. Gibson. I think it's Brandy's next, and then we got Becky. Brandy?
Kind of piggybacking on Jason's thing. If we return to in-person, it's actually going to be more expensive because I know we're not the only neighborhood council where the locations that we use don't have access to wireless internet. I mean, if you've ever been to any of our neighborhood council meetings, your cell phone can't even connect to the internet. Like we're in a dead zone. So we would have to go through very interesting tech hurdles that'll be additional expenses just to get access to Zoom to do a hybrid. I'd also like to say, I know some people are anxious for return to in person, but I'll also say, having spoken to attendees, I'm not the only one that is not anxious to return. I actually prefer remote. But if we are going back to what it sounds like at some point, a potential hybrid, we're going to have to I agree with Jason that we need to increase our budgets because we're going to have to deal with these tech issues. So that needs to be brought up. Additionally, as a personal note, I'm an alumni from Washington. So where did you graduate?
He's graduating from University of Washington.
UW, nice.
Yeah.
I'm a dub, but he's a UW. A lot of my friends were. So congrats to him. That's a good school.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Thank you. Becky? You're muted,
I
Becky.
mean,
That's not like me. Okay, good evening, Mr. Nimbura. I have a question, kind of going back to where this whole thing started. When you're talking about in-person meetings and Zoom meetings, is an in-person board meeting mean we all meet in person, or will part of the board get to meet on a Zoom and the other part in person? How is that being structured?
so I think that's what we're trying to also figure out. I think that's why we're doing these work groups, so we can establish how that looks like. I think there isn't a clear guideline because there is a need for some meetings to be virtual. There's a need for some meetings to be physical. So I think it's just, that's why we have all these work groups to make sure that we are able to ask those questions and find out what is a viable solution for all our neighborhood councils throughout the system.
So a board meeting could look like 4 people in person and 4 people are online, and that would be a meeting. You don't all have to be in the same room. You haven't defined that yet, or is that what you're working on?
Yes, that's why we have the hybrid model, right? Because we want to make sure that we're able to answer that question. So, because at this time, we're not able to answer that question.
And the city council is meeting in person. Why can't we?
Because I think the city council is also, one thing is, theirs is static, right? We are talking about the city hall. For the neighborhood council system, we're talking about 99 locations, right? And also they've come up with new hiccups to where in order for you to provide public comment, you need to go to city hall, right? So it's what we are also observing is how does that work and how is that effective? And I think we all just want to be safe on our end, and it's all a balance, and that's why we're trying to. There'll be a report provided soon once we get this working group up and running. So as it officially meets, we're able to answer all these questions. So those are some of the things we're trying to figure out on how to best answer.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Becky.
Thank you, Becky. And I have one attendee with a question, it looks like. Dave Brown, floor is yours.
Hello, everybody. Hi, Gibson. You look like you've been well. So I have a question regarding Zoom hybrid specifically. Our North Hills West Neighborhood Council has dipped our toe in the water already. We've had about 5 hybrid meetings on a very low level scale, not advertised as part of the agenda. We've briefed our NEA, John Darnell, about it, and because it was so low level, he didn't seem to think it would be an issue. However, what we have been doing, we have 3 predominant meeting locations. So we have upgraded the Wi-Fi capability to heavy duty 5G in 2 out of 3 locations, as well as the video capacity and capabilities there with a backup. We've done that personally, not with neighbor council funds, because there was no guidance. We had the means to do that, so we did it. We've got 2 out of 3 upgraded. What we need is guidance and information. We don't want to break any rules or regulations or, appear out of order, but we want to be up and ready to go as the opportunity permits itself. So is there any link or anywhere we can go to get the latest information?
So, so a couple of things. So we would ask you to touch base. What I'd recommend is we also we will be providing updated guidance, especially when it comes to the work group, making sure that information is accessible. And also one thing we are going to be, I'll follow up with you because like the information is right now, we're still creating it right now. It's been worked on, so the guidance is not fully there. But once we have an update, we have a report, once all that information, we'll make the department will emphasize that information is shared. As you know, we've had a couple of staff changes. So we actually have, the department is hired up. So we have a director of communications. So all these information will be accessible. So there'll be a couple of things that'll be streamlined that will be able to, for you to have this information. And that's why I've been talking about the Empower LA Virtual Hybrid Work Group, because this is helping us develop a standardized policy across the system.
Great. Thank you, Gibson.
Thank you, Mr. Brown.
Thank you. And I got Brian Allen. Floor is yours.
Okay, thank you very much for recognizing me. I am a member of the EVG work group, and I'm late for that meeting. That meeting is already started, but I needed to be here for the budget advocates. But the issue with the hybrid meetings is at the moment nowhere. There are lots of ideas, lots of thoughts and issues, but there is no conclusion yet, and you should not be misled to think that there is. There are council files, which I believe, Gibson, you said you addressed one of the files as 2499 and it is 2449, but that's not that important unless somebody's looking it up. But these files are directly impacting whether or not there is a or whether, I shouldn't say whether or not, directly impacting how these meetings will be conducted in some fashion. And they're addressing how you meet quorum. You can't meet a quorum if the people online are not within the boundaries, that kind of thing. So there are lots of issues, and I'll be happy to keep you up to date on what the EVG group is doing as we go along. So I just thought I would fill you in on that.
Just want to add a couple of things. I mentioned 2 assembly bills. So the first one is AB 1944, and the other one is AB 2499.
No, 2449.
No, it's 2499.
I'm looking at it right here.
Is it by Rubio? Who's the Assemblywoman?
Just a second. Yes, 2449. That's what's written on this paper.
Okay, thanks for catching that. I'll make sure it's corrected. You're right, 2499. 2449. Lexus catching the best of me. But thank you for that.
Thank you. With no further questions, anything else to add, Mr. Gibson? You're done.
Nothing more from my end. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Let's move on to the next item. Next item is public comments on items not on the agenda, but within the purview of the board. Please raise your hand if you'd like to speak. All righty, Brian Allen, the floor is yours.
All I want to do is share with everyone, because we just found out yesterday that Southern California Gas is going to do major work on Balboa. That is going to impact traffic coming from Santa Clarita for about 6 months on and off, and it's going to start in the fall. And everyone should be aware of this. We're upset that they didn't come to us first, but the fact is they are going to do this major work. It is going to shut down lanes on Balboa, and it will be a nightmare for some people. As everybody knows, Balboa is not just a street, it's a highway, and it's a main thoroughfare. There are no other ways to get there other than the freeway between the valley and Santa Clarita. So be aware of that, and if you have questions and if you'd like to meet in our town halls, we'll keep you aware of that as well.
Thank you, Brian. I also note that there's also gas work being done on Tampa as well. And I believe it's going to be narrowed down to 1 lane there as well. Don, the floor is yours. Actually, I know you have to present something, correct?
Thanks, Gabe. Well, I just wanted to give everybody a quick update. This is in regards to the fence line and community air monitoring network for Porter Ranch. We've gone ahead and worked with South Coast and gotten a lot of other comments from people and put together an air monitoring plan that we would actually like to send out for some community review. And what I'd like to do is, if possible, send it to the neighborhood council so that maybe they could send it out to the community just to see if we could get some input. We'd like to kind of limit the comment period to about 2 weeks so that we can incorporate anybody's ideas or concerns into the plan and keep things moving. We also have a Facebook page for the air monitoring system that I also want to let people know about, that we'll be sending out that information as well, which will give everybody updates on the progress of how things are going.
Thank you, Don. And you'll be sending it to me. I can post it on the website as well as we can do an email blast for you.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. Thank you.
Thank you. Anything else to add?
Nope, other than things are progressing nicely. We've got a lot of vendors, getting equipment put together, and it's, again, you guys are getting the best of the best in the air monitoring equipment that's out there.
Thank you, Don. I know, David, you have your hand up to ask a question, but it is public comment area, so we can't really ask questions. But if you can hold on to that question, you might be able to address them later. John and Michelle Hills, floor is yours.
Thank you very much. It will be short. We've recently, I say we, Northridge South takes care of a small pocket park. It's called Aliso Creek Pocket Park. We maintain it. There's no park and recreations. There's no city. There's no county. We maintain it. And a little bit over a week ago, they came to the realization that with all this discussion about Aliso Canyon, with all the possible contaminants in the air, the one area that hasn't been addressed is adjacent to Aliso Creek Pocket Park is Aliso Creek in the wash, and it comes all the way down the hill from that area up there, and it hasn't been touched. Everybody's talking about the air, how unhealthy. Well, this water comes from up there. So we've called 5, 6 different agencies. Just want to give you a heads up that this was discovered. It's adjacent to this pocket park. There are some of the homeless that have found the channels down there is perfect for them to stay in there, but it is not healthy. And until we get somebody to test the water that comes down that hill, we're just guessing. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Any other comments? No further comments. We can move on. Next is budget advocates. Please raise your hand. Brian Allen. Brian, the floor is yours.
Gabriel, I didn't need to be a panelist, but that's okay.
Okay.
I'll be leaving after this, unfortunately, but I just wanted to update the council with the fact that the budget day is being planned, and it will be for the 18th, I believe, and of June, and there is going to be budget advocate elections on the 25th and 26th. So for Region 2, which you are in, we would ask that you be available at 1 o'clock. When I say you, I mean the budget reps, be available for a meeting to elect new budget advocates, or maybe the same. I think you know that the 3 budget advocates from Region 2 are Glenn Bailey, Gary Fordyce, and myself. I do not know how many of the 3 of us are going to run again, but whoever is running and whoever will be elected on the 26th at 1 o'clock, in a 1 o'clock meeting on Zoom. So that can be found on our website, budgetadvocates.org. So I just wanted to fill you in on that. And I don't know if you've been brought aware, but there is a council file to change the name from Budget Advocates in the charter to Budget Advocacy. It's kind of up in the air as to why this is happening. I do know that Raquel has decided that Budget Advocacy is the fund that councils can donate to, and as such, the budget advocates are wondering how we're going to do our work, because if you can't donate directly to budget advocates, and budget advocates do not know how much money they have available, things like in-person budget day and other events will be very difficult to do, because there's no way of knowing how much money we have available. We'd have to ask, we'd have to hope, and we'd have to take shots in the dark to see if we can make it happen. So this is a very disturbing event, and we're hoping that councils will weigh in on this, individuals will weigh in on this. The file is 1120, or I guess it's been changed, and we'll have to get that to you. But the issue is very difficult, and it could mean the end of the budget advocates as they have been functioning in the past, if they cannot perform the duties that they have been performing for all these years. So you should know about it, and if you don't know about it, we'll make sure that you get more information on it. Any questions on that?
Yes, I have Voss. Voss, floor is yours.
My question is for Brian. Brian, I believe that on the budget advocacy issue, neighborhood councils are being asked to issue a CIS. Do you know any timeline by which that CIS letter has to be issued?
I do not know the timeline. I know they're trying to push it through. I know Raquel and Dunn is trying to push it through. It is her idea, and we don't really understand. We don't have a problem with the fact that there are more than one budget concerned organization, but it is because there is more than one that they're taking this stand. And it's ill-conceived, and it's not very efficient, to say the least. And I'm trying to check my words carefully, and not be too critical without having some facts to go on. But I can tell you, it is in process now. It is in committee. It was written by John Lee, and I can't give you much more information than that. I just know
Okay,
that it
and,
is urgent and it is current.
Yeah, yeah. The reason for it by asking was that this issue is very important, and it has being discussed at length. At bank is also having it on agenda. This is a very important issue with the fact that the funds which have already been issued in the past, they have not been gone to the budget advocates. So they don't have any fund. They need it very immediately. That is why this they are going to be like making some sort of I don't know what is the right word to say, that budget advocates should receive the funds. So that CIS is requested for that one, so that the city council file, when it is going to be discussed, these NCs should weigh with the CIS.
We do know that two NCs, North Hills West and Encino, have both authorized payment to budget advocates of some funds. And it has been processed by the city clerk and it has been approved. We do not know where those checks are going. We do not know how Dunn is going to handle those checks. We do not have enough information yet to know what's going on. We just know that Raquel has said no to having multiple accounts, one for budget tribunes and one for budget advocates. We think that is a terrible decision, and it doesn't make sense. It's just not logical. But that is where we are at the moment.
Yeah, we have been told in the meetings, different meetings, that in the past, Dunn GM is using these funds according to her own will, when they are supposed to be given to the budget advocate, but she is using this budget advocacy fund to some different things and not to the giving to the budget advocate. That is why this issue is very important now, and it is being discussed in every meeting. So
I can't confirm what you're saying. I wish I could, but I cannot confirm that those funds are being used by anybody other than budget advocates at the moment. But I do know that seems to be where it is headed. So can't say that anything wrong has been done, but I can say that what is happening will lead to issues of concern and ability to perform.
Thank you, Brian.
Thank you.
Appreciate.
Thank you, Voss.
You're welcome.
Jason?
Yeah, Brian, why don't you, that accounting is going to be made available to you if you simply request it. So why don't you do a Public Records Act request for the accounting of that fund? Because, I wouldn't go on a limb like what Voss was saying and say that those funds have been misappropriated until you've seen the full accounting, right? Voss, you're not saying that you've seen the accounting and it's been misappropriated, because most likely in my experience and, looking at accounts within the city, is the money's just sitting there.
Yeah, because what I have been, sorry to interrupt you, I have not seen the accounts, but it is very openly being discussed in the various forums of NCs.
It's kind of rumors.
Not rumor. They are in the meeting minutes. They are in the minutes.
Well, look at the accounting. All I'm saying is, those are public funds, and you should be able to get an accounting of them. That's all.
Jason, I'm intimately familiar with the way in which the funds have been accounted for over the years. I was willing to do that kind of an audit again. I've done it 3 times in the past, but this is not the place to adjudicate this. But I will tell you that we are doing everything in our power to determine exactly what's happening and what will happen. So just be aware that we're fighting the battle, and we're hoping that people will weigh in to help us with the support in saying each organization requires its own funds. That's all we're saying, and nothing more.
Maybe we can put this on the agenda. Maybe Voss wants to spearhead this, and we can put CIS on our next agenda.
Yes, I'm planning to put it in the next board meeting. Yeah.
Thank you, Brian.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
All right, I thank you for everything, and I have to leave, but it's been a pleasure. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you, Brian.
All right, next on the item is CAG. Updates from CAG. Please raise your hand if you're representing CAG today. I know Craig is.
Hello, everyone. There was a pause while I was.
No worries. We see you. We hear you.
Thank you, President Gabriel. Thank you, Board. I do have a brief presentation.
You should be able to share.
Thank you so much. I also want to remind everyone that Brandy is also a CAG member. And do you see, not my email, do you see the PowerPoint?
Yes.
Great, thank you. Okay, so for this month's update, I wanted to just reiterate that the CAG and the community, for that matter, have been very clear on what we medically need and morally deserve in the health study. And our top concerns as a CAG remain the same from, I'd say, over a year now. There's no chemical list. The powers that be are seemingly relying on air monitoring, and the CCST, the think tank that advises Sacramento, has unanimously devalued the air monitoring as it was done improperly. Only 37% of the known toxins were even traced, and the methodology used was erroneous. Yet the health study seems to be looking to have everything based on air monitoring. I also want to bring up what the gentleman from Northridge South brought up about the water runoff. No one has looked at that. No one has touched what was in the water or the soil or the radiation in the community. So at the end of the day, just like the gentleman from Northridge South, we do not know what we were exposed to. And you would have to ask yourself, aren't there laws that protect a negligent player in the community from polluting the community? And aren't there laws protecting the public to find out what we were exposed to? Well, in reality, there are. And this is the specific California Health and Safety Code. Here it is right here. And I want to read to you just some excerpts from it. And why this is important is because public health and the county have special legal authority to pierce the veil of secret sauce or proprietary nature of information that SoCalGas is going to claim. And when it comes in order to protect the public's health, basic information on the location, type, quantity, and health risks of hazardous materials handled, used, stored, or disposed of in the state, which could accidentally be released, all this sound familiar, is required to be submitted to the firefighters or first responders, but also health officials. And this is necessary to prevent or mitigate damages to the health and safety of persons. So if Aliso Canyon blowout and the negligence of that operator do not fit the statute of this law, I do not know what would. Yet, we can't get the county or DPH to subpoena for this information. And I've told you this before, when we initially brought this to DPH very early in the CAG's advocacy for the community, we were told they didn't have such authority. Well, we had to bring them the statute. The CAG had to do that, the volunteers. And DPH went back and said, well, we're just not going to subpoena, never really offered an excuse. They threw out attorney-client privilege. But then they eventually, after we just really pestered them, they deferred any sort of legal action to the county supervisor's office. And what I want to point out and what's in red here is now the discovery of the chemical list is no longer about science, it's about political will, and it's now politically driven. The one thing that we did sort of hear was the consent decree prevented the departments or the county from pursuing this. Well, this afternoon I went back in preparation for tonight. I went back in and reread the consent decree. It's about 90 pages long. And this is what I found. On page 27, very clearly, please follow along because this is critical to the Porter Ranch stakeholders. Nothing in this consent decree intended nor shall it be construed to preclude any of the government plaintiffs or any state, county, city, or local agency, department, board, or entity, which includes Board of Supervisors, which includes public health, from exercising its authority under any law, statute, or regulation. So to be told that the consent decree prevents them from pursuing this is a fabrication. Okay, so we don't know really what was in the air. We really don't know the chemical list because they refused to subpoena. We don't know what is in the water that's run down from the hill. So the logical thing to do, and we have been saying for over 2 years, is that you must do clinical evaluations because you can't piece the puzzle together with bad information. Because that's the only way we're truly going to understand what we were exposed to and what the implications are from the polytoxins. Yet the RFP has been out, submissions have been put in. I think there's 3. And specifically, the RFP from DPH did not require clinical evaluations. So we listened to the community. The CAG has met independently, and the CAG rejects any study that is not primarily based on clinical evaluations. Again, it's just simple, folks, right? You don't have to have a PhD. You don't know what the chemical lists were. The air monitoring is erroneous. We don't even know what's in the soil or the water. So how can you possibly come to sound scientific conclusions based upon this flawed information? Unless this is a politically driven, an intent to whitewash the short and long-term health impacts that we suffered. And it's just being orchestrated by a politically captured Department of Public Health that is doing the bidding of those that appoint them in their positions. So not much has changed. We should all be appalled by this. The last we heard was they were reviewing, I think there's only 3. And by the way, I want to point out Brandy made a really valiant and really just commonsensical effort to ask that, okay, you've gotten the submissions from the RFP. Do any of them have clinical evaluations embedded in them or a basis of their study? DPH refused to answer this question, saying that they're not able to. And the reason Brandy asked it was if it's not in there, then we were asking the supervisor's office to pump the brakes and revise the RFP to make sure we get that. So we are set up, folks. We are set up, and this is why the CAG is so adamantly opposed to this. We are set up for ramming through a study that's going to be based on air monitoring and not the right data to really assess what's going on. And DPH has also had a track record of doing exactly that study 4 years ago. So that's where we are. We're supposedly going to hear about the studies by the end of the calendar year, and then there's going to be some limited window for public comment. But the CAG is going on record that we are adamantly opposed and unanimously opposed to anything that's not based on clinical evaluations. I'll be happy to answer questions. The last thing I want to leave with you folks as a PRNC action you could possibly take, in reading the consent decree, I came across there's a role of the ombudsman, I have a hard time with that word, is supposed to have public meetings at least once a year. I didn't know this. So they're required by the law to give presentations to the community about what's going on up on the Hill, what safety issues have been breached, what's being done. I think a potential action for PRNC for its stakeholders is to lean on this and have a presentation from the ombudsman and answer some very direct questions from the community. So with that, I'll open it up to any Q&A.
Thank you. David Lasher?
I said a kind of a comment with respect to the water. I think absolutely should be testing the water. That makes sense, especially for the types of products that are in the water. Methane is not it's a gas, not a liquid. The Aliso Canyon pocket part, the resident referenced earlier, I think it should be pointed out, is south of Parthenia. It's on Wilbur because the creek turns, but Elisa Creek is that area west of Reseda, west of Chimeneas. That's 2.5 miles east of the gas leak and not on any kind of watershed related to the well. That said, obviously, there's stuff that's migrated through the groundwater in that area, you know, more likely oil than a gas product. But why would we not think it's affecting the water, the air, everything? But it's just a little odd that they're referencing Aliso Canyon Pocket Park, which is all the way down past Parthenia, and Aliso Creek is not related to the gas leak. It's kind of funny because Aliso Canyon is not near the gas leak. It's Aliso Canyon facility, but the actual Aliso Canyon is 2.5 miles east of the actual area.
Yeah, it's a valid point, David, but I think what really kind of rings the bell is why are we not looking at these things? Because as you know, the methane is the least of our worries, right? It's the benzene and the crude oil that was spewed and landed in our pools, on our children's toys, and we breathed in the air. Those are the things that we should be sensitive to.
And the unknown chemical list.
Go ahead.
And the unknown chemical list.
Yep. So, you know, bad science, right? Garbage in, garbage out.
Well said.
Agreed. Becky?
Yeah, Craig, does the stream that runs from the gas company along Tampa all the way down? I know I've lived up here over 40 years. We walked our dogs along those creeks. We were told 30 years ago not to let them drink the water. And are you saying it's not been tested? And can private people have it tested? It can't be that hard to test it.
Certainly, it's a public park. I'm sure someone could grab a sample. To my knowledge, Becky, I do not know of any testing that was done of the water by public health, AQMD, or any of the regulatory boards. I don't believe they ever did. It was never mentioned.
That's just it's startling. It's worse than startling. Thank you for letting us know.
And then what about the radiation in our soil? Because we found radiation up there.
Right.
Thank you. Vas? You're muted, Vas.
Still muted.
Hi, Craig.
Hi, Vas.
Okay, my question is in two parts. My first question is, how did you come to know that they are required to hold a public meeting once a year? First thing. The second thing is, what are you going to do about it? How you are going to do about it? Yeah, thank you.
Well, first of all, I'm not so sure it's my responsibility to do something about the ombudsman. I think it's more appropriate for the Porter Ranch Neighborhood Council to unite and do something about that on behalf of the stakeholders. The reason I'm aware of it is because I went and read through 90 pages of the consent decree this afternoon in preparation for this evening's meeting. And it's something I just never noticed before. It looks to everything. The ombudsman has been incredibly silent. And this was part of the way to ensure that the community's best interests were being protected. So, I mean, did you even know there was an ombudsman, Voss?
Pardon me?
Did you even know there was an ombudsman that was supposed to look out for the community's best interest?
No, I did not know that. They are required to hold a meeting. Yeah.
So you're not only, I mean, I'm not trying to pick on you, but it's like not only you're not even aware of the meeting, you're not even aware that that as part of the consent decree, monies were put aside to fund this person and a staff to keep the community informed of what's going on. And it's a farce because it hasn't happened. So why not? I just propose to you guys, why not hold them accountable and have them come and show us what's happened? There's supposed to be an annual report as well. Share with us the annual report. Share with us what is being done. Share with us why we can't get the chemical list. Share with us where the water samplings are, where the soiling samples are.
So how do you see the neighbor council's role in this one, that they should insist they should hold a meeting? At least now we know they should hold a meeting once a year.
Well, they're obliged to hold it once a year. It's not by our request. They're obliged to by a legal document that they entered into, that SoCalGas entered into and agreed to. So no one's holding them accountable is my point.
So what the neighborhood councils can do, what you expect them to weigh in, where they to weigh in here?
Well, I just have a recommendation, and if you want help, we'll help you, but I think a letter from the neighborhood council, maybe grab a couple of them if you want, send a letter to SoCal Gas, all the legal entities that agreed in the consent decree, and say, where's our meeting? Where's our update? Simple.
Thank you.
Thank you. Very good point.
Can you send me that information, Craig? I'm very
Absolutely.
interested to look into this.
I'll send you the
this
PowerPoint.
one, because I was not aware of it, any of it as well.
Yeah, I missed it too, to be honest with everyone. It's just, you know.
Thank you. David Balin?
Yes, going back a few years, probably 4 years, 3-4 years, we did have somebody come when we were at Porter Ranch Neighborhood, the PRCS. We did have somebody come and they acknowledged themselves as our omnibudsman. And I'll go back and I'll look to see exactly who that person was that came to our meeting. I do remember it. Thank you.
That was how long ago, David? At least 2 years?
Oh,
ago?
probably, no, at least 3 or 4 years. Esau was, but you're correct. Absolutely nothing's been done at this time. But I do remember somebody did come. They acknowledged themselves as the omnibudsman for this particular situation, or what's going on right now. So, but I'll find out. I'll follow up with it, and I'll give it to Gabriel. I'll give it to you, and I'll find out what it was. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
And there are 2 public comments. First one is Patty. Floor is yours.
Yeah, thank you. Great presentation, Craig, as usual. I remember that there was an initial meeting, June 2019 at CSUM with this ombudsman, and he did a whole presentation. And the only reason I knew about it was from Alex Nagy of Food and Water Watch. And I'm really surprised that there hasn't been any updates or as you said, any yearly meetings, because I seem to believe that he did mention having these annual meetings with the public. And this first one would have been June 2019. It would have to be after 2018, because that's when the consent decree came out. And so I seem to remember June or July and next year. And it's just been, who knows what he's been doing, but I would suggest that everyone contact the Aliso Fund Committee, because those are the lawyers for the state, the city, and the county who've been, I think, really kind of messing around with that monitoring system. But I would think that they're supposed to be in charge of making sure all these parts of the consent decree happen. And there's many parts in the last one. The last 2 that actually going to be enacted are the health study and this monitoring system, and everything else. They got their money, all these other projects, the horrible biomass methane project got immediately funded. But yeah, and also let's not forget that the Gulf study that was done for Deepwater Horizon, that's been within the last decade or so. Craig probably remembers around 2010, 2011, or a few years within the disaster. And that is a clinical study for the most part. I mean, they have the other parts of it, but a major component was taking 3,000 physical examinations of people who worked the cleanup and also residents. And they even went to some people's homes. So we're being kind of messed with in this way that we're not getting clinical study, which is why we've been voicing heavy opposition to this RFP and the whole way that the Department of Public Health has been conducting this stuff. Anyway, that's it.
Thank you, Patty. John Hales, floor is yours.
Thank you. Just a quick comment. Craig, as a friendly suggestion, as you step back to the flat valley of San Fernando Valley, and you look towards the hills, Porter Ranch to the left, etc., as you go down towards the Burbank area, let's think, let me see, how many lawsuits have been settled for contamination of the soils, etc.? How much money has been doled out right now as a result of the contamination And those courts had to utilize somebody's testing for that. All of those government supported, the jet engine, the rocket engines, all of those testing sites. There's got to be something there that ties into this, that their testing has been done and they didn't run into the kind of, if you will, block wall that you have now. But it's something as a friendly suggestion, maybe peel back a couple of those law books and see what was it based on and how they went along. It's all in the same mountain range. So maybe this is a lot deeper, quote unquote, a lot deeper than what we think it is. Thank you.
Interesting idea. Thank you.
Are there any more questions or comments? With no further questions, Craig, thank you, as always.
You're welcome. I have one other just very quick comment, Gabriel.
Yes, of course.
The CAG would probably be very supportive on the air monitoring plan. If you'd like to share it with the CAG, we could offer our point of view as well.
Will do for sure.
Thank you.
I'll make a note.
I'm around if anyone has questions, email me. Thank you for your time,
Craig.
everyone.
I appreciate it. All right, let's move on to the next item, which is treasurer's report. That was quick. Sounds good. Floor is yours, Jason.
Unmute myself here. All right, so we're at the end of the line here. We don't have the ability to issue checks anymore. We can do some credit card charges for about another week. Our net available is 12,700 cash balances. So we have some transactions to clear, which we'll talk about on the MER, but Gabriel processed the outreach items, so that will bring this down. And we also paid for constant contact. I guess it was about how much for the outreach items, Gabriel?
Outreach items, we spent 3970.24.
All right.
And we spent $380 for constant contact.
Okay, so that'll, maybe we'll be in the 8,000 range or so carrying over. So that's pretty much the update, just trying to make sure that we don't give money back to the city and all that. There's the budget, 32,000. That's why I was asking Gibson to push, because we used to get 42,000, right? They cut our budget by 10,000. And when we want to start doing outreach and events and stuff like that, we're not going to have money for anything else. Operations look at 22,000 operations. Yeah. I mean, we spend a lot of money just maintaining our website and, everything else. So anyways, that's the situation with that. Any questions, or I'll just shift over to the MER?
Shift over.
All right, cool. I got it right here. So here are the expenditures. And then the main thing, I think Solid, Castle Bay, I think they cashed their checks, because when you go down here to, here, outstanding expenditures. So these are all the things we need to clear before the end of the month. So we got these Congress of Neighborhood checks, 500 and 500. They're still outstanding. Need some help. Chamber, 150. Hopefully they'll cash their check.
They said they cashed it already, that one.
Okay, cool. So Nobel, hopefully, if somebody can follow up, make sure that's cleared. Wendy Moore is always very good about cashing her checks, so I'm not concerned about that. And that's about it in terms of outstanding expenditures. So once we clear all these items, then you'll see here, see where it says cash balance? That cash balance will match up with net available, because see the pending payments, 38 or 3382. Can everybody see that? 3382, where my arrows? Yeah. So once all those clear, then that will not show. So we got to get everything cleared by the end of the fiscal year. And that's about it. Voss?
Thank you, Voss.
Yeah, just a moment. Okay, a little bit update, Jason. in one of the Congress meeting like this Saturday, June 4th, they have taken a very serious note of our check not being cleared. And when they were checking they found 3 more neighborhood councils whose checks have not been processed. And one is that Pico Union, they said that the check were blurry and they were declined. And one check was duplicate and one was never received. So they are taking a serious note for that they said that if they were aware of it, the checks are declined, they should have taken action on the blurry check because it has been sitting there for so many months. So they have taken a very serious note, or they are going to take it with the city clerk to expedite it without any further delay. That is the update for you. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I'm not worried about other neighborhood councils, but I'm sure they want to get the money, right?
No, actually, we got the credit that we initiated the issue and they find out 3 more neighborhood councils.
Yeah.
They were appreciative. Yeah.
There's always something.
Becky?
Yeah, after the outstanding checks are cashed, which I believe are about 3382.50, exactly how much money do we have left? Is it
That's how you get the-
12,000?
Yeah, that's how you get the 12,000. But what I was saying is Gabriel ran 4,000 for outreach plus another, what is it, like almost 400 for
380, yeah.
constant
So
contact.
what's our bottom line remaining for the year?
Well, if you take 12,700 and you minus the 4,400 or 4,300, you're at what? 8,000 something, right?
Okay.
8,300 or so.
So roughly we have about $8,000.
Yeah, we'll estimate
this
about
week.
8,000 something will roll over. We might have something else. No, I don't think anything else is going to come through. Most of the stuff comes through. At the
Well,
beginning.
what about the motions we have on our agenda tonight? Where will that money come from?
Well, we're going to get into all that. You know, as I explained, we cannot issue checks.
No,
So,
but, okay,
yeah, and if we pass a motion, it would be by a credit card and it would
Gotcha.
be for this fiscal year, but we're going to talk about that. Some of the motions that require checks will be put on next month's agenda in the next fiscal year. Does that answer your question?
yes.
Cool. All right. I think that's it, unless there's any stakeholders or board members. I can't see the participants.
Margaret, you have a question? No, no question.
All right, I'm gonna stop sharing now.
Sounds good.
Or I can keep the agenda up. Well, what's next? Let's see.
Go for it. Keep the agenda up. Next is discussion and possible action to approve $2,000 MPG to Southern California Preparedness Foundation to purchase backpacks containing essentials and valuable response supplies to each course participant who completes all 7 sessions of CERT classes being offered at Porter Ranch at the Vineyard starting July 11 for 7 Mondays. And this item,
Mr. President, I don't think we voted on item number 11.
Oh, yeah, right. We have to vote for the MPG, the MER.
Thank you.
I'm the
Let's go with that.
secretary. I'm doing my job.
I'll
Thank
make
you,
the
Becky.
motion. I'll make the motion to approve the MER.
I second.
Okay.
1 second, and Voss seconded it.
Yes.
Thank
All
you.
right, call the vote, Becky. Thank you.
All righty, David
Right.
Lasher,
Yes.
David Balin,
Yes.
Hilda Sarkeesian,
Yes.
Jason Hector,
Yes.
Luis Ramirez is absent. Becky Levesque, yes. Brandy Grace,
Yes.
Jennifer is absent. Voss Singh,
Yes.
and Christine is absent. Gabriel Conley.
Yes,
Okay, it passes.
8-3, thank you. Let's go back to item number
Well, would it be 8-3 or 8-0 since they're not here?
8, no, 8 yeses, 3 absences. That's what I meant.
Okay, gotcha.
So we're at 8.
And the method of, okay, thank you.
Thank you. Next item was the NPG for CERT. I know it's been, a lot of people have been asking for this. It's here now. It's going to be offered in Porter Ranch. As times get tougher, weather gets crazier, fire season all year long, this is a well-timed event. But there is an issue, as Jason was discussing a few minutes ago, due to the fact that MPGs need to be paid by checks and the fact that last check date was June 1st. Even if we pass this motion today, we're going to not be able to cut the check in this fiscal year and has to come back in July, and we have to repass or reconfirm what we passed today. So I know we have representatives from the CERT that will discuss the whole NPG today. And once again, if we do choose to vote today, we just have to re-vote again in July.
Yeah, very well said. We can go ahead and, if they want, if they're here to present, we can
They
vote
are
on it.
here.
Yeah, we can discuss it, vote on it, and then, but we'll have to vote again. And then the check will go out because we don't have access to checks till the next month.
July 1, correct?
Correct. Yeah, once we pass our budget, then we'll submit it and then they'll allow us to issue checks.
Thank you. And who is here to represent CERT today? Please raise your hand.
Dave
Dave
Brown.
Brown, of course. Let me bring you in. Dave, the floor is yours.
Hello, everybody. Yes, I'm very pleased to report and bring you the information that as we wind out of the major part of the COVID pandemic, we have a built up, pent up demand for CERT classes. And it was a very fortuitous set of circumstances that we were able to give our CD12 Devonshire Division right there at the very front of the line. So if we had a time machine, this could be flawless, but we don't. So the current proposal, starting July 11th for 7 Mondays, finishing August 22nd. I believe a 6 p.m. start time. This will be at the upstairs meeting room at the Vineyards. And financially, what the MPG is about is typically at the end of a class, all the participants that successfully attend all classes are awarded a backpack with their own personal PPE equipment, hard hat, gloves, goggles, et cetera, as well as a nice bound manual that they can refer to in the future. But unfortunately, many times the fire department, LAFD does not have a budget for that. They currently do not. So to address that issue, because we like CERT a lot, and successful CERT graduates tend to be a leveraging effect in the greater community. They tend to go on and either take more classes or contribute in other areas. Obviously, everybody has different interests, so not everybody's going to become a emergency medical responder, but several of our neighborhood council board members originally had taken CERT classes, and they indicate that's how they got on the road to volunteering, myself included, by the way. So financially, specifically, a completion backpack, we haven't placed the order yet, but we're anticipating it's going to be at least $100 per student. A typical class is 35 to 40 students. The cutoff limit for this particular class is 60 students. And just because, and we've probably got about 4 or 5 spot openings that have not been reserved, but that doesn't mean it's going to have 60 students. Typically, there are no-shows at the first class, and you have to attend all classes to qualify to get your backpack. It's relatively easy to do a makeup class from a different instructor, obviously different location, different timing, but there's a standard form to do that. So once somebody completes their backup missing class within a timely period of time, which I believe it says on the MP, they qualify to receive their backpack. So price-wise, the Southern California Preparedness Foundation would like to match funds with the neighborhood council, and we submitted an MPG for $2,000, which basically would represent 40 students. We really think there's going to be more than 40 students, but we don't want to ask for a larger amount and then have anything left over in the eyes of the taxpayer, shall we say. So 2,000 is a very conservative matching fund combination for 40 students. Unless something crazy happens, there's no way we're going to have 40 or less students out there. It'll probably be a capacity class. The foundation will cover any excess cost. In other words, class goes from 40 to 60 students, the foundation will cover those additional backpacks financially, as well as take responsibility for ordering the backpacks, picking them up and delivering them to the final class, as well as any student that needs to take a makeup class to become eligible will ensure that they get their backpack as well. That covers all aspects of the CERT class with the exception of the class handbook. Turns out that there aren't any, and there's no budget in the fire department for that. So the foundation is preparing to reach out with Council District 12 and see if we can't share the cost of publishing the handbook for the class in time for the, and timing wise, that shouldn't be a problem. And that's not nearly as expensive as backpacks. That's the highlights of it. And understanding the budget year and next month, reapproval, potential reapproval and everything like that. We have to commit on the backpack. So it's great that the board approves it tonight and again at a future meeting and eventually is able to participate. In the meantime, the intention of the foundation would be to go ahead and simply order sufficient backpacks to cover this class. And then if the council can match 2,000 and contribute, that'd absolutely be wonderful. Should you decide tonight to vote and approve participating, we'll take that pretty much as a given, and we'll go ahead and add the Porter Ranch Neighborhood Council logo to all additional future outreach materials and everything like that. If you want to make a production out of it, we could find out what the cost would be to add the Neighborhood Council logo to the backpack. That's a bigger production. It needs a vector file to make a high quality image. The problem might be the lead time. There might not be enough time to get it done, add the logo to the backpacks, which backpacks are already made with only the CERT logo. However, what we've done in the past, pre-COVID, we sponsored 2 Spanish language CERT classes east of the 405. And one time it was with one neighbor council. We got lightheaded and thought, well, geez, that was easy. Let's get together with 3 neighbor councils and have a monster class. Both classes, we had perfect attendance. They were way overbooked. What we did is made like a backstage pass laminate that had the logos of the neighborhood council and a very durable attachment to each backpack. And on the other side, there was room for the student to write their name with a Sharpie, their contact info, whatever they wanted to write, but it had the logos and website addresses of the participating neighbor councils. In each case, we did a 50-50 share with each council. And we're caught a little flat-footed when the when the student response was much more than inspected, which is a good thing. So financially, the foundation, we had not so much for the money, but we had to scramble to get the additional kits in time. This time we want to order the kits early, so they're just sitting there waiting to be picked up for the class. I think that's there is a list of the items that go in into the backpack. However, based on personal experience, we're planning to do is substitute a few of those items for higher quality, specifically the goggles, which if you ever put on a pair of those cheap goggles, the first thing it does is pinch your nose. Second thing it does, it pinches your hair. So you fiddle with them incessantly until you take them off and put them away until the point where you wish you had them on no matter how uncomfortable they are. Well, we found much, much more comfortable goggles. They do include a headband, but it's adjustable. And it's a real soft fit all the way around your face so that if you're in dusty wind or downwind and smoke particles, well, if that's the case, you're going to want a better mask too, but they're much more comfortable, which means whoever's using them should be wearing them when they need to have been wearing them is our objective. They're about twice as expensive, but I think going forward, we're going to standardize on those for CERT kits just because otherwise people don't wear their PPE when they should. And now they become a victim instead of a helper. So any specific questions, comments?
Definitely. There are a few, but quick question for you, Dave.
Yes, sir.
If you miss a class, how long do you have to make it up?
60 days.
60 days. And where are the other classes usually being held?
All over LA. Hopefully there will be some in the Valley. Our intention is to start 3 of them here in the Valley. One in the Mission Hills area, one in the North Hills East area, which will be probably Spanish oriented, and one in the Sherman Oaks area.
And they're not always on Mondays, I'm assuming, right?
Oh, no, no, they can be any day of the week. It's really to the convenience of the LAFD instructor. Everybody wants a all-day Saturday, all-day Sunday, and get it over with. And that involves enormous overtime with the FD because they have regular jobs during the week and they're on overtime teaching the classes. So to put them, whether it's golden time or I don't know how their union works, but it's financially a very big deal to have a 1 weekend and done CERT class. We've done it before at the Armory down in Lake Balboa. We had about 234 students one time. And it was very, very popular. And it was an awful lot of work. And a lot of people said, I'll never work that hard again, no matter how good of a deed it is. But yeah, it's hit or miss. Day of week is hit or miss.
Thank you, Dave. Jason?
Hi, Dave. I just wanted to, I got the MPG here pulled up. I just wanted to go over the dates really quick.
Yes, sir.
So you want to order the backpacks. This all sounds good because we're not actually paying for the classes. We're paying for the backpacks,
Yeah.
which you get the end of the classes, which is going to be next fiscal year, right?
Correct.
So
Correct.
you want to order the backpacks by that, is that the 7-Eleven date there?
It's flexible, but that we had to put something on the form.
That's
so,
fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fine. Okay. No, I think it's fine. And it looks good. And I want to thank you. I'm so happy that we're in Porter Ranch. We're doing this. David and I, we got our CERT training. CERT 2 would be nice too. Maybe, I think there's a CERT 2 class, but I think this is such a good way to spend our money personally, because you're offering it out to the community and we're preparing for, we're empowering our stakeholders to be proactive when, disasters come. And, there's so much we can learn. I got my first aid in CPR and I have a lot of OSHA training and things like that, but CERT was very valuable. I don't think you should be cramming it into one weekend. Personally, I think we went to like 8 classes and each class was just a lot of information to absorb. Is it 8 or I forget how many classes, 6?
At the moment, it's 7 with the added active shooter. What they did is extended each class a half hour.
Yeah, we need that active shooter.
Yes.
Unfortunately.
And there are some supplemental fall. You mentioned CERT 2 and 3. Those have gone away. They're renamed. The Red Cross sheltering basically substitutes for 2. 3 is now EMR, emergency medical responder, which I think I've taken.
Think about those things for us in the
Yeah.
future. Maybe next fiscal year we can host some of those more specialized classes. So I'm very happy to hear you got the venue and the event is off and running. So thank you.
Yeah, and I got to tell you, Porter Ranch is kind of up and coming, situationally aware, bigger picture viewpoint of the wider world, however you want to describe it. But of the various neighbor councils, including my own, who the choir preaches to itself over there all the time about this topic. We thought, you know what? The knock-on, trickle-down effect of having a oversubscribed class in Porter Ranch. Basically, this is kind of a big production on purpose because other neighborhood councils that aren't necessarily as active and engaged as Porter Ranch is will look at this and go, wow, that wasn't much work on the part of the board. All I had to do is approve it and, look good. So we're hoping that this will transfer to less active neighborhood councils. We need to get it out to everybody, period.
Thank you, Dave. Becky?
Yeah, Dave, thank you for everything that you're doing. Could you just, I have a couple of questions.
Sure.
Well, first of all, I would also like to state that I am CERT trained and I took the first class in Porter Ranch and assisted at the Metrolink train crash in Chatsworth, where our neighborhood council received an award from the city of Los Angeles for our participation. We took food, we took clothing, we took blankets. It was cold that night. Neighborhood council had a lot to do with that. And in dealing with CERT, we went through CERT to do all of that. I think it's just a wonderful program. You guys are a nonprofit, is that correct?
That is correct.
And the fire department does the training, correct?
Yes, there are exceptions to that, but
Right.
In general, when we talk CERT, we're talking fire department.
Okay, and this is open just for Porter Ranch residents, or what other neighborhood councils are going to be participating?
Porter Ranch will be the only direct neighbor council participant. However, anything to do with taxpayer funds has to be wide open to the public. There is not a need to advertise this widespread because we're at 52, 53 reservations already, and that's predominantly from the Porter Ranch area. From what I can gather from the email, sometimes you can't tell. We are making the other neighbor councils aware that it's underway, just so that when we come to them and are able to say, well, hey, you know, Porter Ranch led the march on this. Would you like to join in?
Yeah, I think that this is just a wonderful program. I just want to point out, though, that one of the requirements that we have as a neighborhood council, and this isn't, it's not because we want to be flashy or anything, but they do require that our name gets put on things.
Yeah.
So what kind of exposure will our neighborhood council get? Because that's something that is required by the city.
Yes, and that's a great question. And again, you know, we're talking a couple $1,000s here, and this is a big deal. So it includes obviously promotional logo and website address on any additional flyers, press releases, newsletters, EmpowerLA's newsletter, CD12 newsletter, etc., as well as the Neighbor Council Emergency Preparedness Alliance. We every month we talk over what's coming up. I personally like the idea of these backstage pass laminates that attach to each backpack. The students love them. They asked if they could get extra ones. And we didn't know they would do that, so we didn't have extra ones, but very durable. And again, each student can take a Sharpie and indelibly mark their name on it, because all these backpacks look the same. So how to get yours back when you have upgraded your personal contents? You want to get your own one back. And obviously anything else. By the way, speaking of as many board members as you have that have been CERT trained, if you go to the North Hills West website, click on About, the drop-down link gives you, click on Board, and then you go down to the, all the way down the bottom to the attendance, the compliance training attendance chart. We have a column that we've started that, you know, lists the board member's name when their trainings expire, and also if they're CERT trained and what level, as well as if they have their amateur radio license and what the call sign is. And so far, EmpowerLA has not told us we can't do that.
Wonderful. Thank you for all of your hard work.
Thank you. Brandy?
Yeah, you know, I think this is great. I just wanted to point out, because we have both on our board and our attendees list, we have new people. We've talked a lot around CERT, but not really about what CERT is. Like, it's classes, but people might not know. Are you training assistants to the fire department? Or are you just training people to deal with their own households? Like what CERT does?
Good question. You are definitely not being trained to help firefighters. If you show up at a incident, you're going to get run over, or they're going to tell you to get out of the way. However, you can escalate your training and join what's called a call-out team. That's a higher level of specialized training. You can even qualify to drive their various emergency vehicles, particularly like the water buffalo that brings drinking water to the various sites, a variety of different things. I have not had the time to do that as much as I would like, but friends of mine that have say it's actually a lot of fun. But once you're at a wildfire or something like that, you could be stuck there for, you know, your shift might be 22 hours, and then you take a nap in the hot sun or whatever it is, and then you go back to work until it's declared that you're relieved. But there's numerous opportunities. One of the more interesting things that have happened, a bunch of us CERT people have gotten together. There's a nonprofit involved, and it's called NTP, Neighborhood Team Program, which consists predominantly of CERT people. Just do a Google search for Neighborhood Team Program here in LA. And up till recently, CERT has been like fishing, like teach and release. And none of the CERT, unless you exchange phone numbers in your class or emails, nobody knew anybody. The fire department wouldn't give out the list. How would you organize your CERT people within your community if you don't know who they are? So basically, we started reaching out, and eventually folks started responding. So now Neighborhood Team Program is like a clearinghouse, a consolidation point of prior CERT trainees, as well as anybody interested in the topic. And the meetings get recorded, they get edited and put up on YouTube. There's about 20 of them, how to operate a simple radio, pet first aid, you name it. Similar to what we did with the foundation in the Annual Valley Disaster Preparedness Fair. But they're taking it a little bit further. And personally, I think they're going to end up in the long run doing a better job because they're reaching a whole lot more people that normally would never ever go to the disaster fair.
Yeah, thank you for the clarification, because yeah, like Gabriel had up there, it said, yourself and your neighbors, which makes it sound like it's more than just personal preparedness. So I'm glad so I'm glad to hear that you were able to give that extra information.
But first and foremost, you always take care of yourself first. You start where you're standing, just turning around, don't move sideways, just turn around in a circle. That's where you start. When you're able, you can help out your neighbors, but take care of yourself first and your immediate family, pets, things of that nature. But what we don't want is people going where they heard the loud boom or they see the big fire or the smoke plume. Don't drop everything and go that direction, please. And that's one of the things you learn in the class, why you don't do things like that. As much as exciting as it may seem, but you're going to have the bigger the event, the more you're going to have to do with yourself, and the more you prepare ahead of time, conversely, the less you have to worry about following the big event. And you learn the basics about that and where to go for more information.
Agreed. And on a personal note, I'll say, I haven't had the pleasure of being CERT trained, but I remember when the fires hit, I was the one that said, okay, let's start packing up things in the car now before the evacuation hits. And my family thought I was nuts. And then an hour later, we got evacuated. And I'm like, we're already packed. Let's go.
Thank you. Next question is David Lasher.
Good evening. Beyond, it goes without saying, I think CERT's a great program. In fact, I'm a trainer. I've trained several dozen people in my job with the local government. And I get a recertified EMT license, but I'm an EMT, and I'll actually have my ham license within a week, in the next month. If any board member has any questions about how it works or whatnot, please feel free to reach out to me, because I did teach the program for a few years, a couple of years ago.
That's David, if I may recommend, if you go to the NTP, Neighborhood Team Program, just do a quick Google and drill down to the radio training. All that information is free to you to use to promote radio usage and get people started in radios.
Great, thank you.
It's real clean and simply presented as well.
Excellent, thanks.
Thank you, David. Becky?
Yeah, Mr. President, may I make a motion?
Go for it.
Okay, I'd like to make an motion to approve a $2,000 NPG to Southern California Preparedness Foundation to purchase backpacks containing essential and valuable response supplies to each course participant who completes all 7 sessions of CERT classes being offered in Porter Ranch at the Vineyard starting July 11th for 7 Mondays.
Thank you.
Second.
Becky. That was David Balin. Second?
Yep.
Perfect. And remember, we're calling a vote right now. We have to revisit this in July to revote our.
I think you have some, did you check? I'm sharing screen. I can't see do we have any participants, public comment?
There was one that they put their hand down.
Okay, good. Thank you.
All right. Yeah, Dave, you have something to add?
Yeah, if I may, ever so quickly, it'd be remiss of me not to point out that the originator and ongoing guidance for this is courtesy of our community relations office at Devonshire Station.
Thank you, Dave.
Wonderful.
Becky, you want to call the vote?
Yes, okay. For agenda item number 12, David Lasher,
Yes.
David Balin,
Yes.
Hilda Sarkeesian,
Yes.
Jason Hector,
Yes.
Luis Ramirez is absent, Becky Levesque, yes, Brandy Grace,
Yes.
Jennifer is absent, Voss Singh,
Yes.
Christine is absent, and Gabriel Conlian.
Yes.
Okay. The motion passes.
Thank you, Becky. Thank you, Dave, for all the information.
Excellent. Good night. Thank you all.
Thank you. Thank you very much. All right, next item is discussion and possible action to approve $2,500 sponsorship to Shepherd Church for the July 4, 2022 fireworks spectacular. I know a few years back, we used to be participant, and then COVID hit, we stopped participating. And I thought it was a good idea to put this motion on. I know, let's see, what is Paula? Paula is here and she'll give us more information regarding the event. Let me bring her in. Paula, the floor is yours.
Hi guys. So this year, like last year, we are doing just the fireworks launch. We're hoping that will change next year. As you guys know, this is the largest event, kind of the only event, community event we have here in Porter Ranch on a regular basis. I know sometimes we do movie nights and things like that. Our desire always was that it was an event that unites the community and brings the community together in a way only that can happen kind of at events like this at 4th of July. We will be doing the fireworks launch. We will be having speakers all along the street again. We will have also be broadcast on a radio. So if people are in their homes or in their cars, they can hear. That's where a lot of your promo comes. We will be passing out a card, which actually is not on the brochure, that your information will be on as a sponsor. You'll be able to put spots on the radio broadcast, which is a loop that goes for about 5 hours. And then, of course, there's an opportunity to just have a car there on the lot and be able to watch on the lot as well. I don't know what else to say about it. We do a lot of coordination with the police department, the fire department, the California Highway Patrol, the Department of Transportation, Department of Bureau of Street Services. CEMP is vital and we coordinate with them. And then there's another traffic control organization that we do. We put up fire lanes so that the fire trucks can get from Corbin all the way down into the community and out easily if they need to. Because it's a community-wide event, there's just so much going on there. We want to make sure that the traffic flow is good. We have traffic maps that we go over with the police department and all of that coordination. The fireworks themselves cost about $22,000. In addition to all of the other services that we have to pay for with the city. And above and beyond the money, which I think is important, we would just love to have the Porter Ranch Neighborhood Council as a partner for this community event. So the community knows that we're all working together to make the community a better place. So that's it. Any questions?
Thank you, Paula. What kind of food will there be? There are not going to be booths this year. Is there going to be food trucks?
There are not going to be booths or food trucks this year. The Vineyards is open and they have, as you know, a lot of things have opened up recently. So it's going to be a great opportunity for the community to get to know the restaurants and everything we have in our area. We are hoping that next year we will be able to be back to full throttle and just look forward to the possibility of just having even greater partnership with the neighborhood council.
Thank you, Paula. Becky, you have a question?
Yeah, hi Paula. I was wondering, what kind of outreach or press coverage would the neighborhood council get for sponsoring this event? Is there media coverage? I did read it. I was just kind of wanting to be a little
No.
more clear so everyone knows.
Yeah, totally understand. We have the media coverage, there's no way to guarantee, there's no way, as you guys know, we put the information out there and there's no way to know who they show up. If they show up, you guys will be on campus and you'll be the people that they're interviewing, but there's no way to guarantee that kind of media coverage. You will be on the website that everything will be sent to. You will be on the flyer and you will be on the paper that we pass out that day to any of the attendees who are along the street. And you will have an opportunity. The way that it works on the radio broadcast is, I'll just give you for an example. And Valadares does the same thing. Stern does the same thing. Lee does the same thing. So you would say, like, whoever your representative is, hi, I'm Becky Levesque. I'm from the Porter Ranch Neighborhood Council. We are your neighborhood council that la, 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 say whatever you want. And by the way, the next song up, and then you introduce the next song. And the reason that we did that is because we wanted the people to listen and engage. And we felt like if there was something that you were saying about the next song that prompts them to listen at a greater level than if we just had a series of community notices throughout the event.
Okay, and do we get a booth or can we set up our tent or?
There's no booths this year. There's no public area. There's no public area, so that wouldn't work this year.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Brandy, floor is yours.
I'm just wondering about logistics, because on your website it talks about check and close, and as you've probably heard, we can't do checks. And since this is 4th of July, it would happen before our next meeting. Is either paying by check after the event or paying by credit card before the event fees workable?
Yeah, either one of those things would be fine. I mean, certainly, we're not in any rush. I mean, we trust that if you guys say you're going to sponsor, you're going to sponsor. It happens because of the way that people's years end. It does happen that way for 4th of July often anyway. So I understand.
Okay, as long as you're not like, no, we need the money.
Yeah, no, we've been doing it long enough where we have a good, pretty good rapport. But thank you so much for asking that question.
Thank you. And Jason, this can be paid by credit card, correct? If motion passes?
Yeah, this is not an MPG, and to me, it looks like we're buying advertising.
Okay.
I think. I mean, but I think we have to be clear in what we're getting. I think it's right here when you see the 2,500, if we sponsor at that level, but the question becomes, and I guess, my feeling is, that's quite a bit of money for us to spend for a fireworks show. So if we do less, what is it gonna be, and because essentially we're just buying advertisement, right? Like that's what this is. We're supporting, if we support the event, and I guess it's my turn to talk now, but I just want to thank Shepherd Church, Paula, for your support in cleaning up under the freeway, under the Tampa off ramp. I want to recognize,
That's sweet. Thank you.
all the volunteers, and that's something I'm very passionate about. So I definitely want to partner with you, and I would like to see us do things like what was going on with COVID together, like giving out food and things like that. This to me is, a little more on the entertainment side. I think, we have to really think hard about our funds, because if you recognize where the reason we have funds in the neighborhood council is because of the secession movement and the San Fernando Valley wanting to pull away from the city of Los Angeles and get more city services within Porter Ranch per se. So I think in the context of our budget, it's very important to keep that in mind. But I do support some level of support, but I just, I'd like to see things that go back to the community, like the food giveaways or working with the Y, the cleanups and stuff like that. But you know, we'll have to see how the board feels, but those are just my opinions. And I do recognize that you guys are doing a tremendous amount in the community. And you know, that's why I do support some, you know, contribution, but it is really just advertising, I think, for us. You know, but that's the way it gets processed on the city side, is advertising.
Totally understand that. And listen, we are anxious to help out with any of those initiatives you have. And if you guys, we did 2 huge food giveaways. We did 4 vaccine drives. So, I mean, anytime you guys, if
Keep
that's
us in
something you
mind
guys
for that,
want to,
you know,
want to open those doors with us, I think that would be great. Because I think that the community is better when we're all working together. And that really is my heart with you guys sponsoring the event. These events, and I understand from the MPG, I understand with the money part of it, but really we want to create healthy communities. And part of creating healthy communities is finding moments that we can all get together and
Right.
find that we are more alike together than we are different apart. And that's what this event does. And having you guys just say, you know, we're part of building healthy communities, I think is an important statement, whatever that dollar number is. And I need that to be comfortable for you guys for sure.
Thank you. Thank you, Paula.
thank you for your leadership on this types of things in the community.
Thank you so much.
Hilda?
Yes, I'd like to make a motion to approve the $2,500 sponsorship to Shepherd Church.
Thank you. I will second that. Any further discussion by the board? All right, Becky, you want to call the vote?
All right, this is on agenda item number 13. David Lasher,
Yes.
David Balin,
Yes.
Hilda Sarkeesian,
Yes.
Jason Hector,
Sorry, I didn't unmute. Yes.
Luis Ramirez is absent. Becky Levesque, yes. Brandy Grace,
Yes.
thank you. Jennifer is absent. Voss Singh,
Yes.
Christine is absent, and Gabriel Conley.
Yes,
Okay, motion passes.
thank you.
Oh my goodness, you guys, I am so honored. Thank you so much. And I really do look forward to us all working together to build this community to be as strong and healthy as we can get it to be.
Thank you,
you
Paula.
Thank you, Paula.
Thank you.
Just
Take
work-
care.
just work with me and Jason for everything else. For the
Just
back
in
end.
mind for any future, you know, community events.
Sure. I will actually look through the schedule. We have a site called Shepherd Go that has all of our community initiatives from homeless to cleanups and foster stuff. So I will look through that and see of the things that were happening in the area that you guys might be interested in to joining us. So
Thank
let's
you.
working together. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Have a good evening.
You as well.
Thank you. Next item is a motion to approve $200 for Zoom membership 2022-2023. Do I have a second on that?
I'll second it.
Thank
Who's
you.
making the motion?
I just made the motion.
Okay, hold on, I gotta get my paper out.
No
Katie.
problem.
And it's item number, we're doing it already, so
14.
14, okay, great.
Item was straightforward. so I just
Tre-
made the motion.
Treasurer, note taker Chapman, who made the second place?
Gabriel first, Becky second.
No, I don't think.
Thank you.
I did. Hilda.
Hilda second.
Oh, Hilda.
Hilda
second.
did.
Thank you.
Okay. Any discussion?
No discussion?
No.
Okay, have non-board members raised their hand to comment, or
Nothing. Go for it.
we're ready to call for the vote? All righty,
Go.
David Lasher,
Yes.
David Balin,
Yes.
Hilda Sarkeesian,
Yes.
Jason Hector,
Yes.
Luis Ramirez is absent. Becky Levesque is a yes. Brandy Grace,
Yes.
Jennifer is absent. Vossing,
Yes.
Christine is absent, and Gabriel Conley.
Yes,
Okay, motion passes.
thank you.
Next.
All right. Next item is a presentation from MySafe LA. And let me bring David Barrett in. Is he here? Perfect. David, the floor is yours when you transfer over.
Get my mic going.
No problem. And you can share a screen as well, like you requested.
Yep. That's what we're gonna do.
Awesome.
Can everybody see?
Yeah.
Yes, we can.
Thank you very much for your patience. I know your meeting we're past 2 hours already. I will try and be relatively brief, but at the same time, share some stuff with you that I think is particularly important relative to Porter Ranch in particular. And so I'll go through this presentation, it'll take about 8 to 9 minutes, and then we can entertain any questions or discussion that you might like to have. So MySafe LA focuses on 3 particular things: fire safety, community resilience, which is things related to disasters of other kinds, and education and awareness in schools and for older adults. We've been the contracted education training partner for the Los Angeles City Fire Department for 13 years. We work with 22 fire departments across the state of California. All of our uniform members are EMTs, paramedics, or firefighters. And we have educators who are not in that cadre. Several of them are CERT call-out team members. And we are actively involved in the process of collaboration within the city on a number of important issues. And we work with neighborhood councils, about 22 of them throughout the overall Dunn landscape. If you want to learn more about us, we have a pretty informative website, mysafela.org. And through this presentation, you'll get a chance to learn about a lot of the things that we do. So I'm not going to spend a lot of time on background because time is of the essence, right? So our discussion this evening will relate to how we may be able to help the Porter Ranch Neighborhood Council, discussing how we are involved in public safety and awareness, what we do to create better prepared students, what we do to support older adults. And most importantly, once you learn more about us and what we do, provide you with a bit of an opportunity to give us feedback in terms of the things that you need. And I'll say right up front that a number of things that I've heard during the last 2 hours, Jason mentioned a number of things, other folks have, Gabe did. There are things that you need help with, and we probably could fill the gap in some of those areas. So we know the city's at risk. We know in particular in Porter Ranch, wind events, wildfire, flooding that follows wildfire are of particular concern, not to mention the threat of an earthquake and that sort of thing, as well as the unfortunate issue related to active shooter. So our objectives, this is an opportunity for us to talk about what we do with HOAs and neighborhood councils. It can be a lot of things, so I'll try and keep it simple for you. Our job is to create a more resilient Los Angeles. So we're not volunteers. Everybody in our organization is paid. We have a chain of command. We operate in a parallel stance to the LA City Fire Department. Our members ride out on fire apparatus and we participate with them. We have a repopulation team during Saddleback, during Getty, fires like that, which occur within the LA County footprint. We actually are dispatched to be the people who bring people back home following an evacuation. We also have members that support hydration and other kinds of things, but wildfire is a really big part of what we do. We are now designated by the state of California as the wildfire coordinator for the County of Los Angeles, meaning we work with all 30 fire departments in the county and coordinate all of the efforts that they have related to wildfire so they can be tracked, managed, we can avoid duplication of effort and that sort of thing. As an example, tomorrow morning is what's called Area 1 Wildfire Media Conference, which is hosted this year by LA County Fire. We're a part of that. And what it leads to is part 2, which is the Los Angeles Wildfire Resilience Alliance. I'll talk about that a little bit more in a couple of minutes, but that's designed to take communities and make them prepared to become FireWise communities, which can lead to discounts in insurance, better preparation, better interaction with your local fire station, and that sort of thing. We do create emergency response plans. So we help large organizations, museums, libraries, major corporations with being prepared for an emergency and teaching their employees what to do. We provide training to all LA City firefighters related to wildland, structure fire survival, and other things. This last year, we provided training to all 3,400 members on aerial operations so they could understand how their airships work and what they do. All of our training is provided by our EMTs, firefighters, and trainers. And we work very closely with the LA Unified School District and with private schools to teach within the school system. Typically, we teach about 35,000 students a year. One of the big issues that we're involved in right now is fireworks. Fireworks every year is a big issue. And as you know, the pandemic created a kind of back and forth about what happens. We've been in this role for 6 years now, and we are the hub. We are the center of fireworks awareness and mitigation in the city. So all of these entities that you see on screen, they kind of, I don't want to say they report to us, but they collaborate with us. All of them have designated people who participate in weekly meetings. We coordinate the messaging, the storytelling, the marketing materials. So anything you see, a banner outside of a fire station or a police station, we've produced that. Any kind of messaging that the city attorney provides, any kind of event or prevention that goes on in rec and parks or animal services, all of that happens from our shop. So what we've been doing as it relates to this, every year we do a survey. You guys will be invited to take it if you want. There are broadcast and web PSAs. There's a brand new broadcast PSA being finalized by Channel 35. And then we have our own web-based PSAs that we do for city council offices and others. We have a lot of information on fireworks on our website, including lawn signs you can download and other things. And we provide coordinated messaging, all 106 fire stations, all 15 city council offices, and so on. We have a new fireworks reporting application so that if you see fireworks and you want to report them, you have a way of doing that, which is free. And most importantly, actually, we've been working with the state to change laws. Senate Bill 277 has passed the Assembly unanimously, including some letters of support from fireworks manufacturers. If this law passes the Senate now, and we hope that it will before even the 4th of July, it will provide many, many millions of dollars for the confiscation and destruction of illegal fireworks. Right now, there's a disincentive for LAPD to confiscate fireworks because they have nowhere to place them. And we all kind of know what happened when they tried to destroy some on their own last year. It's a touchy business and it's best left to the state. This law will allow a lot of that to happen. And so we're very hopeful that it passes because it will change the dynamic. Most importantly, and you just awarded some money to Shepherd Church, fireworks shows are back. Public shows are there. Everyone should be able to enjoy fireworks. So our messaging is think about your neighbors and go see a public show. We don't want to focus on things that people aren't going to respond to, right? Fireworks are cultural. People believe they should be able to use them. They love them for tradition and all kinds of reasons. It's a form of patriotism, but go see a public show. Don't blow your finger off or hurt your neighbor or do something else. So that's kind of what we focus on. So just want you to be aware of that. We have a whole series of materials, and in the next day or two, you'll receive an email or a phone call from one of our fireworks specialists. And we have a bunch of stuff that we can provide to you if you want it. Flyers, posters, things like that, that you can distribute. And here's a quick look at the smartphone app. Currently, it's available for iOS, including the newest releases. Goes all the way back to the iPhone 8. It'll be available for Google next year for Android devices. But right now, it's an iOS app. And we started there because of the security that's available for iPhones. And it allows you to report. As you can look on the left-hand side, you see a couple screens from the app. On the right-hand side, you're seeing what the LAPD and the LA City Fire Department and the LA County Fire Department will see, which is where every report has been made. And the reason this is valuable is that if you call 911 or if you call 311, you sit on hold or you have to wait, and then you don't necessarily know what's happened. This way you know that your report has gone through and that now dispatchers, watch commanders, battalion chiefs can take a look and say, wow, there's a whole bunch of fireworks on this part of Corbin Avenue. We need to perhaps send a patrol car there. So it's a way to share information. It does not generate a call for response. It generates information so that leadership within these departments can make decisions. There's a number of other things that are happening, which I think are very important. So we provide a quarterly informational update to all of our partner neighborhood councils. We also provide a dedicated liaison. So you guys are probably familiar with having a senior lead officer from LAPD come and speak about what's going on in Porter Ranch. We could do the same thing from the fire side. It's really difficult on a consistent basis have LAFD come and talk to you. And so they dedicate information to us through Operations Valley Bureau so that we can do that on their behalf. All 4 bureaus provide it to us. CPR events, I'll talk about that a little more in a second. Home safety inspections and free smoke alarm installations, presentations in area schools and that sort of thing. This may be the most important thing that I talk about for you guys. The Los Angeles Wildfire Resilience Alliance is a new initiative. It is a partnership between MySafeLA and the Los Angeles City Fire Department. We also are doing it with the Glendale City Fire Department, and with the Los Angeles County Fire Department, San Marino Fire Department, Santa Monica Fire Department, Beverly Hills Fire Department. In your area, you had a fairly significant wildfire back on May 15th. You've had 6 other smaller wildfires in Porter Ranch this year. And of course, you have the Saddle Ridge Fire in October of 2019. What this program does is that it works with, just as you have a neighborhood council and you form certain committees, it allows you to create a committee, and we have a workbook that you work through. We provide you with all of the expertise and membership assistance. And when it's complete, you'll actually have an agenda over the course of a year where every month you have different subject matter experts come. And then that could include, for example, as Jason had brought up earlier, the idea that you've had a lot of burned out or dead wood, which needs to be removed. So we bring an expert in who can talk about that. There's a lot of state grant money for the removal of dead foliage and wood. And so getting the right contractor involved who can do this at no charge is just one of the simple kinds of things that this becomes important for. Also, once you're a FireWise community, then you can, depending on where you live, if you're directly within a high fire severity zone, or what we would call the wildland urban interface. So if you're in the hills of Porter Ranch, up near the top portion of it, there's a chance that you can have your fire insurance credited. It depends on what carrier you work with, but they range from 5 to 18%. And that can be a lot of money simply for becoming a Wildfire Alliance partner. And very important to note that this entire initiative and what it relates has 0 cost. Not asking for money, nothing related to that at all. This is about making your community safer. And Jason will come back to you when I'm done. We also want to provide specific support into area schools. There are 3 schools that Porter Ranch residents' children attend and that are part of the LAUSD. And these schools, our 4th and 5th grader program teaches them about fire safety, how to inspect their homes, and what can be done to make sure that they have an escape plan, that they know what to do in the event of a fire, how a smoke alarm works, how a CO detector works. We also believe that it's important to canvass, to actually walk streets door to door and install smoke alarms. In your area in 2015 and 16, we installed over 500 smoke alarms in homes. We'd like to do 2 canvassings at least, target 140 homes. Just the value of that alone is about $7,400 in terms of smoke alarms. Everything is free. Installation is free, delivery is free, and so on. CPR. So we provide hands-only CPR for free all over the place. As you know, if you want certification in CPR, it's typically somewhere between $80 and $100. Sometimes it can be a little cheaper. We could certify 10 members of your neighborhood council at no cost. So you can pick out those folks that do that. We also offer bleeding control, BLS first aid. There is an EMR class, which is the same thing as an EMT class. The difference being is that you don't ride an ambulance. You learn all the same medical stuff. We want you to know that there's, because it was brought up by in your CERT presentation, that EMR is a thing that the Red Cross provides, and we are a Red Cross partner, but it is not something that we would recommend anyone does. And the reason is that the National Registry and the County of Los Angeles do not recognize it. So you go through all the process of learning that stuff and you can't actually practice it. So currently, it's not something that we would recommend, but everything else, bleeding control, BLS first aid, CPR, those are things that we can do. We can also create safety fairs or partner with you on safety fairs, community surveys. So if you want to reach out, we've got a very good anthropologist and an excellent survey tool, and resilience training, emergency response plans for larger organizations within there. So we're all about kind of working to make your community safer and a little bit more together. Some of the references, if you want to check us out, Deputy Chief Trevor Richmond, who runs the Valley Bureau, Assistant Chief Robert Nelson, who's in charge of counterterrorism, and Kelly Muniz, who is a captain with the LAPD. Beatrice Gramala was our primary contact, but she just left, she just retired. And until we get a new assignment, and Kelly's our gal, she's really terrific. So this is kind of a good idea. We might suggest that sometime in 2023, there might be an opportunity to discuss an MPG grant. We don't want to do that now. We want you to be aware of some of our services and see how we can help you and have a little bit more of a dialogue. But there are situations where neighborhood councils will provide $12,000 to $15,000 in services. And depending on what their needs are, what we do, then they provide $2,000 to $3,000 as a contribution. And the reason that that's important is that you're invested. You want to see the return on investment for your money. Jason was talking about that earlier as it relates to the fireworks initiative, and helping the community is good. Advertising alone is a different kind of a thing. I think you've made a good choice though, because you may be actually, by supporting the church's fireworks effort, you might be preventing a structure fire or a wildfire that someone might be unavoidably involved in just because they wanted to use fireworks on their own instead of going to a public show. So that's my story, and I would be delighted to respond to any questions or discussion, pushback, anything that you'd like to ask about.
Thank you, David. Awesome presentation. I appreciate it. Jason?
Yeah, thank you, David. You guys are doing a lot. So obviously, and I'm going to show some pictures. We have a motion, and I put this on the agenda. It's towards the end, regarding the Saddle Ridge fire and the impact. When that fire came, and I don't know if you've driven through our neighborhoods, like along Tampa, like Wilbur Tampa.
I was in the command post, and I had to go through the entire neighborhood rehousing people. So I was there for 10 days.
So what's happened is a lot of stuff is burned, and now you have a lot of weeds, and you have a lot of tall, burned out trees. And I'm going to show some pictures, but it's really bad along Tampa. And, you spoke about the grants, and we've reached out to the council office. And, I really think the most important thing we could do in our community is bring some of those grant funds to LAFD, to Recreation and Parks, to the people. Recreation and Parks owns all this property, right? They
don't qualify. None of the entities you mentioned qualify. And that's part of the challenge for state grant funds. There's tons of money in state grant funding, but they have to go to the third parties. They don't go to fire departments.
Well, I was told differently, but regardless of, I was told differently by the council office that LAFD has to apply, but I'm not arguing with you. You're more informed than us. So regardless, we want to make it happen, right? The goal is to make it happen. So bringing in a third party, absolutely, but there's a big issue. And so I just want to bring that to light, that, they're not cutting the weeds, they're not trimming out the dead wood. And it's a really dangerous situation when you drive along Tampa, between Braymore, south of Braymore, on both sides, on the Reseda side. And then if you talk about Limekiln Canyon, the center portion, we did a lot of work on the northern and the southern side. We spent like about 10 grand removing, dead stuff, but the middle portion was where the fire started. And it's just burned out stuff too, that is not getting cleared. So, I think this partnership, I certainly would like to see our parks in good working order. When I go to other, Thousand Oaks, and I look at some of the other parts, all the dead stuff is gone, all the weeds are trimmed, and unfortunately it's not happening here. So that's all. I mean, I just want to let you know.
So I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, you
One
did.
of the, one of the things that our organization does is we collaborate with the state. Since we are the county wildfire coordinator, one of our jobs is to take information like you have and connect you with the right entity that has grant funding already. You don't want to think about necessarily, oh, we're going to write it, because that's next year. So the grants for this year are done. But
Okay.
there are entities out there that may very well want to do this work.
Mhm.
And when they collect money for this, they're tree trimmer organizations and nonprofits that have tree cutters and things
Sure.
like that. So there are people who are set up to do this. What they can't do is they can't remove anything that is, for example, city land. They have to go to either state responsibility land or open space that is not owned by the city. So as it relates to the city,
This is
our
Rex
job
Parks.
would be to work with, well, Rec and Parks is a part of it, but we would work with the brush unit of the LAFD and look at where we could get some private funding, for example, through the Los Angeles Fire Department Foundation, to be able to manage those types of things. But part of our job is we have to know where the folks are that can help. And so you give us a situation as part of our development of a wildfire alliance in Porter Ranch, and we will in turn connect you with the folks that can make a difference and make an improvement in your community so that you're not worried about those trees taking off in the middle of the night or at any time.
Yeah, I totally understand. We're on the same page.
Good.
Yeah. I didn't want to write the grant, right?
You know something?
I
will
tried
also
to get
tell you
them
this.
to do it. You know, I tried
I'll
to.
tell you this, Jason, the grants for that kind of work are, and even though you complete them online, they're horrible. They're antique. They're every disincentive for you to do it. You know, you have to draw a map that is GIS compatible, get it approved by the state, all kinds of stuff just to apply. It's a very challenging situation right now, even though there's a ton of money.
I know we actually did get a grant approved for the neighborhood council in the park to do stuff. And
Well, that's good.
I know it's a lot, but no, thank you for your presentation. I enjoyed
Of
it.
course. Rebecca?
Thank you.
Can't hear you, Becky.
Well, you presented so much great information. I'm overwhelmed. Think you should run for governor or something. But I'm
Not the
trying.
first time I heard that.
I'm trying to process where we could help you, where you fit into the LAFD, LAPD, state, local, county governments. I'm not clear. We just heard from CERT, and we're very familiar with them, but you have so much information in such a small amount of time. It's just amazing.
So first of thank you, first of all. Second of all, you know, we're not trying to overwhelm anyone. Our role is very different than what CERT's role is. In fact, we have CERT members who work for us. But what we're really about is helping you to be safer and to create a more resilient environment. And, you know, we don't want to do all of these things at once, but we would like you to be able to get to know us a little bit and maybe create a point of contact within the neighborhood council that works with one of our public information officers or one of our paramedics and figure out what to do. And separately working again with, we have a very specific firefighter whose responsibility is to manage the Wildfire Alliance training. I think it would be a really worthwhile thing for us to talk with you, perhaps specifically about this at the next meeting or in the future.
Well, what I would like to do, I'm the public safety chair, and Jason, we work on these different committees together, and I'd kind of like to put our heads together and do more than just, you know, a 10-minute meeting at our, I think we need to do
let's meet for an hour. Let's have lunch. Whatever it is.
And we'll open it up to the community and have a meeting so that people can understand what you do. And I really hope that that's where we go with all of this, because I think that you have so much great info. Were you a firefighter or a police officer, or you volunteer?
Not a volunteer. I've been doing this for 23 years. I am a former naval aviator, and I got into this kind of by accident. But I am a California State Fire Officer and a FEMA IFT member. We go through a lot of training, and I operate in all 4 bureaus of the LAFD. And I'm the chief bottle washer for our organization. And I think working with you in the Public Safety Committee and having a nice discussion that is not time challenged would be terrific.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Any other questions?
I do.
Hilda.
Okay, hi. It was an awesome presentation, by the way. Thank you so much, David, for your time. A couple of questions. You mentioned an app. Is the app active right now? Can you share that?
Great question. My apologies for not actually providing that specific information. It's going to be released Wednesday of next week. It will be in the Apple App Store, and you can go to mysafela.org.
Yeah.
/fireworks, and it'll directly connect you to the app.
Fireworks.
And it's free.
Okay, yeah. Okay, and my other question is, you mentioned flyers to be passed out. How do I get a hold of that flyer?
As I said, our neighborhood council liaison, Victoria Garcia, will reach out to you guys in the next day or two, and all we need to know is where we can have them delivered.
Okay.
We have posters, flyers, we have a bunch of stuff, and we can deliver it to you so you could distribute it as you see fit. And that,
Okay,
again,
and
it's no cost to you.
So Victoria will be in contact with Becky, with Rebecca, or who would she be?
Not
in
sure who
contact?
her point of
You know
contact.
what, Hilda, why don't you go for it?
No, it's okay. No
together.
problem. No problem. You're the right person. But I just wanted more information personally. So that's why I want to be able to talk to somebody. I don't want to waste anyone's time tonight, but just to talk to somebody, like pick up the phone and call someone.
Sure. Yeah, we'll be
What's the
reaching out
number?
this week. This week, we'll be reaching out for delivery.
Oh,
next
you're
week.
gonna contact. Okay, that's
Yeah, we're
fine.
gonna
I'll
reach
wait.
out to you.
Okay, thank you, David. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. And I have one attendee with a question, which is Glenn Bailey.
Hi, Glenn Bailey.
Hi, I'm just wondering if I haven't seen such flyers in the public libraries, and you could do the ring around the high fire severity areas, like around the perimeter of the valley, starting Porter Ranch, Chatsworth, West Hills, Woodland Hills, Tarzana, and so just a suggestion. I know you probably have limitations in your staffs, just as we're volunteer limited, but that could, I know the libraries would welcome that information, and a certain amount of traffic would see that. Thank you.
Absolutely. You're absolutely right.
Thank you, Glenn. And with no further questions or comments, thank you, David, for being here. Awesome
My
presentation.
pleasure.
Stay in
You
touch
guys
with
are
me.
doing-
I'll definitely
You're doing
email
great
you as
work.
well.
You're doing great work, and we look forward to seeing you again in the near future.
Oh, we definitely will. Definitely support
Okay.
you.
Take it
Thank
easy.
you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. All right, next item is item number 16. Item number 16 is going to be tabled today due to the fact that we can't cut any checks from this fiscal year. Item number 17, Becky, item number 17, 18, and 19 are yours. We can't hear you, Becky.
Motion to approve March 24th, 2022 special bylaws meeting draft minutes.
I'll second.
Attachments I and J.
I will second that.
Okay, is there any discussion? Any questions? All right.
I'll vote.
Okay, I'll call for the vote. David Lasher,
Yes.
David Balin,
Yes.
Hilda Sarkisian,
Yes.
Jason Hector,
Yes.
Luis Ramirez is absent. Becky Levesque, yes. Brandy Grace,
Yes.
Jennifer is absent. Voss Singh,
Yes.
Christine is absent, and Gabriel Conway.
Yes,
Okay, motion passes.
thank you. Next one is 18, Becky.
Okay, hold on, let me just finish writing this. This is 17, okay. Motion 18, to April 13th, 2022, meeting draft minutes, attachment K.
I second.
Oh,
Okay.
that's fine, boss.
Any discussion?
Mhm.
Okay, I'll call for the vote.
Thank you. Just want to make sure for note taker, Becky made the motion, Voss made a second.
Okay, all right, I'll call for the vote. David Lasher,
Yes.
David Balin,
Yes.
Hilda Sarkisian,
Yes.
Jason Hector,
I was absent, so I'll be abstaining from this one.
abstain. Okay, Luis Ramirez is absent. Becky Levesque, yes. Brandy Grace,
Yes.
Brandy was absent too. and
Oh.
Change your vote.
Oh, I guess I was looking at the wrong item. Okay, abstain, sorry.
you're abstaining, okay. Jennifer is absent. Hold on, there's a lot of boxes here to check. Voss Singh,
Yes.
Christine is absent, and Gabriel.
Yes.
Okay, and motion passes, and this is item number
18.
18. Thank you very much. Okay. And item number 19. Motion to approve May 11th, 2022 meeting draft minutes, attachment L.
I'll second.
Hilda second.
Okay, and any discussion? All righty, I'll call for the vote. David Lasher,
Yes.
David Balin,
Yes.
Hilda Sarkisian,
Yes.
Jason Hector,
Yes.
Luis Ramirez is absent. Becky Levesque, yes. Brandy Grace,
Okay, now yes.
yes, ma'am. Okay, and Jennifer is absent. Voss Singh,
Yes.
Christine absent, and Gabriel.
Yes.
Okay, motion passes.
Thank you,
Excuse me,
Becky.
note taker on number 19, who made the motion? I know
I-
Hilda made the second.
Becky made the motion, Hilda seconded.
Thank you.
Thank you. I got Glenn Bailey with his hand up. Glenn?
Thank you.
Yes.
So obviously up to the board, but I just wanted you to know, once you've approved your 2022-23 budget, which is the next item, you can, if you wish, approve a NPG, for next fiscal year. You just can't submit it till July 1st. But just wanted you to know that is an option if you wanted to expedite the business rather than wait until your July meeting. That's informational. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, next item.
Next item is item number 20, motion to approve 2022-23 budget. Treasurer, it's yours.
All right, let me get the share screen going here. All right, everybody see the budget?
No.
Coming up, looks like. There you go.
Okay. All right, here we go, back again. All right. So I'll just move to the, did everybody check everything on this budget? Let me move here. Okay, so Gabriel's second holder. Okay, here's the financials here. There's the allocated funds, and then this is the operational expenditures. We didn't put Zoom in here, did we? Let's see. Oh, I added Zoom into communications. So that's fine under that. And then we budgeted, that should say 5,000 there. 5,000 for outreach, 2,500 for elections. NPGs 13,000. We seem to be doing a lot of NPGs. Community improvement projects 12,750. And they all total 42,000. But keep in mind, it's looking like this 10,000 is going to be more like 8,000 rollover. Actually, a lot less than that. we approved 2,500 for the fireworks, so our rollover is gonna be maybe more in the $5,000 range. So these budget amounts will be dialed back, so we'll most likely take away from MPGs and CIPs. So we're just passing kind of a projected budget.
Right.
And all this other stuff is our existing. Wendy Morris doing the website and yeah, storage. I think we still can meet at the school when they allow us. And that's pretty much it.
We're allowed to be at school already.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of.
That's why I
how
put
are they
it
allowing
down.
us.
It's existing.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So that's pretty much the budget. By passing this budget, then July 1st, we'll, once they review it and approve it, we'll have access to process checks and things like that. And our credit card too.
I see, Randy, you have a question?
Yeah, why are we paying for Microsoft 365?
So that we can do agendas and motions and.
So who's using that? Is that something Gabriel has access to, or is it?
I currently have access. Anybody who needs access, we will add them.
So what, if it's just to do documentations like agendas and stuff like that, why don't we just use open source, Open Libra? It's totally free and it does exactly the same thing.
I don't know.
It's what I use. So nothing that I've ever sent to you guys has ever touched Microsoft on my end. So it's perfectly like PowerPoint type stuff and Word and Excel spreadsheets, all of that stuff, 100% free, completely open source.
What is it called?
There's two versions of it, LibreOffice, and there's also the Apache one, but I use LibreOffice. It's literally just open source version of Windows, free and open source version of Windows. Microsoft.
heard of it.
I think you're a bit more advanced than I am. Like I'm trying to do this letter to the city, to Rex and Parks regarding this wildfire, and I have this document that I'm working with, which is our letterhead, which is a Word document, and I'm trying to.
Yeah, it opens Word documents. It does all of the things, like literally all of the things. It does everything
Well, you know
that
what?
we would do.
Is it a software or is it a?
Yeah.
You can download actual software?
Yeah, you can download it. LIBRE Office. Just Google that, download it, play with it, see if you like it, and then we can submit this budget, but then you can maybe
Exactly.
remove that and save us some money.
Sounds good. Thank you for the suggestion, Randy. Becky?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
So the 200, I have a couple questions. The $200, if we decide to switch whatever it's called systems, we're not going to lose it, right?
No.
And then the board shirts and name tags, $1,000. The election is next year. I don't think we need name tags till July. And are we getting shirts for the board that we don't even meet in person? Do we want to?
This is a budget. It's not a motion. This is a budget.
I understand. I'm just questioning a couple things in it.
So if we get new board members, then we have the ability to buy them shirts and name tags. What's up, Sadie? Oh, we're good.
Okay.
It's a budget. I just kind of copied and pasted everything from last year, honestly.
Okay.
And, if we don't have a meeting, we're not going to have refreshments, right?
Right.
If we don't have a meeting, we're not going to have facility fees, right? If we don't approve any lenders to send, we won't have postage. We will have PO box. If we don't have a meeting, we won't have photocopying, right? So you're just projecting. I mean, you're trying to cover all your bases, and
Okay. Just wondered how it all worked.
Thank you, Becky. Voss?
Just a moment. This Mason, you said that it is not a motion, but in the agenda it says motion.
Well,
It's a motion
Motion to
the
approve.
budget.
let me clarify. Okay, it's not a motion for a specific expenditure. So for example, we're not making a motion to approve an expenditure for board, shirts. This is a budget. So the motion is to approve the administrative packet. It is a motion to approve the packet. Yes.
Thank you.
This is the administrative packet. See at the top of the, here. See what it says here, fiscal year administrative packet. So the
Right.
motion is to approve this packet, which is a requirement from the city.
So do we have to second?
I'll make the motion to approve the administrative packet.
I second.
Thank you. Voss seconded. We do have a question from, we have 3 questions from attendees. Glenn Bailey, floor is yours.
Thank you, Glenn Bailey. So I did attend the city clerk's workshop on the administrative packet that they had during the past month. And consistent with the way they've been doing it the last few years, the neighborhood councils can only submit at this point in time the administrative packet, including a budget amount of $32,000. On August 1st, the city clerk will notify each neighborhood council of their exact amount of rollover. And especially since your rollover is going to be less than 10,000. When you upload this on July 1st, the system is only going to let you put in for 32,000. So my suggestion is just do it with, take 10,000 out of some category where you can put it back in once you get your rollover. But it does take separate board action to revise your budget. Once you get that August 1st notification.
No, they changed it. Before they were doing it where they wanted you to project it. Now, I guess you went to the class and they said, oh, well, we're not going to do it this way anymore.
Yeah, 32,000 for all. And then you add on with a
Right.
subsequent revision. And that's on your funding portal. You'll see the icons there to upload a revised budget with the rollover. Yeah.
Which makes more sense. So then what we'll do here is we'll have to take 10,000 from,
Yeah, take it from the NPGs, I would say. We can always bring it back.
take 5 from here and 5 from, just to keep it simple. So that's gonna be 8. And here we can just take.
There you go.
Who wants to be treasurer next year?
You.
No.
We have no one better than you, Jason, to be treasurer.
I'm all right, so what do we have? MPGs was 8, right?
8.
And then we did 7750. Okay. All right. All right. I'm trusting you, Glenn. So we'll I'll revise the motion to approve the budget as amended to reflect the 32,000.
Do we have a second?
I second.
Thank you, Voss. Now there's 2 more
Hey,
questions.
Glenn, just to Glenn, and if they made it easy on us, they would not allow us to put anything here, right? You can tell them that. See, right?
Right, and they also included in the instructions that, in the actual document,
And
Yeah.
they shouldn't allow us to put a figure in here, if they don't want us to put one in there, right?
And not till August 1st, right?
Yeah.
Oh, wait, there's an asterisk. Wait, roll right there, right? At the bottom of this page, that asterisk. No,
I see
just
the
go down,
page.
go down, right there. Right there.
Ah. It's always helpful if you read, right? I guess I didn't read this part. Got it. Okay, cool. It is in there.
Thank you, Glenn. All right, next is Sharon. Floor is yours.
My hand was up for the same reason. And for a number of years, we're not supposed to go and put in the money because it could be different than what you think on there. So that's why my hand was up. So basically, I'm seconding Glenn's comment on there. So that would have been for you guys to have to redo your budget to just be the 32,000. But now that you've seen that it's in writing at the bottom of the page, I'm on there. Anyway, so that was my comment was
Yeah.
that also it was 32,000 and not 42. Thank you.
Thank you, Sharon.
I think we're good.
All right, last comment is from John Hales. Floor is yours.
Thank you. I'd just like to add on one additional thing. There are training sessions / workshops. The first one starts tomorrow and then the 14th, and they go out. I think it's 6 sets of those that are available for this administrative packet. So for those who are curious about the contents of it, you certainly can go, and I think it's a 2-hour session. But it would be helpful for those that are looking to come into a financial position. This would be great information, but just let you know, tomorrow at 2 is the first one that's available, training. Thank you.
Thank you, John.
Sign up, guys, sign up.
All right, second.
Looks like you got 2.
And then we got panelists hand up. Becky?
Yeah, just quickly, so we get 32,000 plus whatever we have left over that's under 10,000.
And it's looking like it's gonna be about 5,000.
Right, so we'll have like 37,000 roughly, not,
Yeah, roughly.
okay, thank you.
Thank you. And you called the vote, Becky.
Okay, David Lasher,
Yes.
David Balin,
David?
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes, I couldn't turn it up.
Hilda Sarkisian,
Yes.
Jason Hector,
Yes.
Luis Ramirez, absent, Becky Levesque, yes, Brandy Grace,
Yes.
okay, Jennifer Abraham is absent, Boss Singh,
Yes.
Christine, and Gabriel Conley.
Yes,
Okay, motion passes.
thank you. Item number 21, treasurer, it's yours.
All right, this is regarding the parks, right?
This is the parks and brush clearance.
Oh, wait. How come my screen, you guys can't see my screen, can you?
We see white with a rectangle in the middle.
Okay, let's see. Let's try one more time. How about this?
There we go.
These are the photos. Okay, I was trying to. Okay, can you see the photos?
No,
No, not anymore.
Ah, all right, one more time. Let's see here. Maybe we're not gonna see them that great, but it's good you guys live in Porter Ranch, so you know.
We see it.
So I went out on the way to pick up my daughter. See all this, this is Tampa right off of Wilbur. See, this is the corner here, Wilbur and Tampa. So I just took a few photos. This is the entrance to Wilbur Tampa Park. You know, you see all this kind of overgrown. This is where they actually, the neighbor here did some brush clearance and the parks did some brush clearance. But you know, this is just a small area. I just, you know, I didn't have time to go through all our parks and take pictures of every single, you know, thing, but I just felt like something needed to be done. So I put together a letter. In the past, we've done a lot of work in the parks. We did fund a project, but it never came to fruition because couldn't get a vendor that had enough insurance to satisfy the city. So figured taking a different approach to write this letter. So I put it together and I wanted to go through it. So I write here, the neighborhood council is writing today to express our concerns regarding the burned out trees from the Saddle Ridge fire that have not yet been removed. And now the tall weeds have combined to create a very dangerous and hazardous condition within our community. We've been told about and understand the 200-foot rule. So the reason why there's brush clearance in that one area I was showing is because it's 200 feet from the house, which already the homeowner has to clear that as well. But aside from that, you know, that's where they want to draw the line. And then, so I wrote here, however, policy rules and ordinances only go so far, since we know the type of wildfires we have been experiencing statewide are wind driven and wild. We did witness on more than one occasion firsthand how quickly these fires jump from one park or canyon to another. And we saw it start in Aliso Canyon and then quickly jump to the hills above Braemar, above where ET Park is. And then eventually it landed over in Limekiln Canyon, just from flying embers. I saw that when that happened. I was here to witness all that. And Recreation Park done some brush clearance, which was effective, and that's around Braemar. They did do some good brush clearance around there, and that's why the fire didn't do much. And it stayed very low to the ground, which I say here, easily manageable. However, if you check the condition now, which is the pictures that I'm showing, and also I mentioned Limekiln in the middle areas, and I'm sure there's more areas, Aliso Canyon as well. The park is pretty bad over there too. So I want to bring their attention this large dead dry fuels, and I mentioned the specific areas here, Wilbur Tampa Park, and we can certainly add or change this however you see fit. I acknowledge the work that they did. They did, after the fire, remove some very large trees along the pathways. I think they're more concerned with a tree falling on somebody. But there's many other that need attention. And so it's all, 3 years later. So I have some photos that I'll attach to this letter, and thank you. We look forward to commencing work on wildfire fuel reduction plan as soon as possible to ensure the Porter Ranch. And then we can put whoever we want on the letter, but typically our letters would come from the president. So I put Gabriel on there. And the letter would go to Rex and Parks, Councilman Lee, and we can certainly add other people. We can add our local fire department. So that's it. I open it up. I haven't had time to have a committee meeting or anything, but I think something needs to be done. I mean, it's already June, and the wildfires are coming, believe me. See that, let me get back to this picture here. So anyways, I'll open it up. Let's see.
Thank you, Jason.
I want to look at this picture. See this picture right here? This is all the Saddle Ridge fire. So what happened is these trees all got burned out, and now the new growth is coming in here, and then see all the weeds right here. I just want to, and it's like that all the way up Tampa, and then on the other side of Tampa too. So I just wanted to give the visual. Go ahead, Becky.
Thank you, Becky.
In your letter, RAP, what's that stand for?
Recreation and Parks.
Would you mind to spell that out, just because?
Sure. Not a problem.
That'd be great.
Good comment. Thank you. Any other comments or questions? I see one from Glenn Bailey. Glenn, floor is yours.
Thanks. Sorry. I just, Jason, you probably know this, the general manager is retiring this month. I don't know the date of his retirement, so just know if you may know that date, but just know, and it looks like you're going to get this out right away, but just know if it bounced back that it probably should be sent to AP Diaz, the executive officer, just to make sure. And you may want to, I don't know, it's up to you. You may want to copy the Recreation and Parks commissioners, only because then it gets into the official log of correspondence. That's it. Thanks.
Glenn, who's retiring?
Michael Scholl, the general manager of Recreation and Parks. All I know is he's retiring in June, but I don't know what date in June.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Thank you, Glenn.
I forgot to put his name here. I put him on the deer, but
So you want to call a motion to approve the letter, Jason?
yeah. Is there anyone else that, so do you want to send it to the local fire department or any other? Right now, usually, John Lee's office will kind of run this up the chain of command, but I think if it goes to Michael Scholl, then it will trickle down to APD is usually you would send to the general manager. But I can also send this to our local Rex and Parks people, but that's where this will go to Merck and Martinez. But if there's any, it could go to Granada Hills Neighborhood Council. We have a shared park. This could go to the fire department, our local fire department. I think it would be Station 8. We have 2, but it could go to both.
It should go to both 28 and 8.
Yeah.
Jason, I just got a question. I know that you have on here that you're the treasurer, but you also,
I didn't put that.
well, it says right here on our agenda, isn't it item 21 we're discussing? And it says Treasurer Hector, but I think your name should be on the letter as well. You and Gabriel, because that's
Yeah,
your
that's fine.
committee, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it's not really coming.
I know, but what's the name of your committee?
Beautification. Yeah, it could be public safety, it could be beautification, it could be anything. It's really, the point is just, it's up to you guys. I just think.
Well,
that
I'd like to have your name on it since you went to all this work. I think it's really important. And in the past, we've always had the president plus whoever was the author of it. So just my opinion.
Yeah, no, I agree. I'll put my name next to Gabriel's here. And then should we send to the fire department, to the 2 local the local stations?
Yep.
Okay.
What about the area? I mean, send it to, what is the name of the head person in charge?
Oh, you mean Rex and Parks?
No, for LAFD.
Well, we'll send it to this. Oh, you mean to
Send it to the chief's
chief?
office.
the chief? Okay.
Yeah, because this is a fire issue. And I'm gonna tell you, I'm terrified of this summer, what could possibly happen up here, especially when we're not allowed to water.
Yep. I agree.
Very scary.
Totally. So we'll send it to the chief and then to the stations.
Correct, yeah. And what about the battalion chief?
Yeah.
I don't know. I just,
Okay. What's the difference? Chief and battalion chief isn't the same?
well, it's kind of like in Devonshire Division, you have the division, and then, you have the Valley Bureau, and then you have the LAPD. It's all broken down. And there's somebody who oversees this area, all the fire departments. I believe that's the battalion chief, but I could be wrong.
I think usually you send it to the top and then they'll trickle it down for you.
Okay,
So we'll do LAFD chief and LAFD station. What is it? 8 and 28.
8 and 28.
All right. Okay, and then I'll add my name to the letter. Okay. Anything else? Any other areas to include here? And
Well, thank you for doing it.
no problem. I haven't done much this year, but I want to.
Oh, you have to.
I mean, I'm doing the finances, but in terms of projects and things.
It's a full-time job.
I know. All right.
So this is item 21.
Yeah, I'll make the motion to approve the letter as amended.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
I'll second
I'll
it.
second it.
Becky, second, and David Balin, third.
And now we're out.
All right, call the vote, Becky.
Okay, David Lasher,
Yes.
David Balin,
Yes.
Hilda Sarkisian,
Yes.
Jason Hector,
Yes.
Luis Ramirez, Becky Levesque, yes, Brandy Grace.
Yep.
Jennifer, absent, okay, Voss Singh,
Yes.
Christine Demerjian, absent, okay, Gabriel.
Yes,
Okay, perfect. Motion passes.
thank you. And last item is item number 23, updates from board members of committees. Are there any updates from anyone? David Lasher, floor is yours.
I've got a somewhat major issue we need to get on the agenda for a future meeting, but I wanted to reference the fact that on May 17th, we had another kid, I say kid, probably 20, 21, 22, whatever, a young man fall off the Breamore Cliff, Tuesday night, 11 o'clock, 2 helicopters, 12 fire trucks, 2 ladders, 70 firemen, and an hour and a half later, they got him out. Now, he's not gonna be billed for a penny of that, because you talk to people, they're like, well, he got really hurt. So that's payment enough. They're parking along Reseda, park along Braemar, right under the signs that say no parking after 6 p.m. There's no enforcement. And the sad part is they've got big signs that say park closed sunset to sunrise. All activity area is monitored. LAPD would be called right away. That's a total bluff. No one's doing anything. I've had residents talk to me about putting a fence across the face of the cliff, maybe 5 or 6 feet back off. I think that's a sort of an idea, maybe a 3 foot tall one. They'll just hop it. But we're literally getting not a single bit of enforcement in terms of the city keeps talking about the budget being upside down. Parking control, right, could write anywhere from 5 to 12, $75 tickets for parking every single night, and they never come up. They'll tell you, oh, we can't find the address because there's no house or there's no address there along Reseda. But something's got to be done, because like once or twice a year, we're having someone fall off the cliff. 2 helicopters, that's about $6,000 operating cost per helicopter. They had 2, 60, 70 firefighters. There were literally 12 fire trucks, and it's absurd. And there's nothing's, it's like once or twice a year. I don't think the cost of living up there should be, oh, there's a cliff once in every now and then someone's going to fall off it. We need to get some kind of enforcement, or maybe a fence line, or they protect the Hollywood sign with like 15 cameras and 10 speakers and everything else. And this is not that occasion, but no one's fallen off the cliffs of the Hollywood Hill sign, but they keep falling off Braemar cliffs and getting seriously hurt. Last time it happened, a guy caught a fire. He was smoking in the brush, fell off the cliff. The cigarette lit the brush underneath him on fire and chased him uphill. He had 2nd and 3rd degree burns over 30% of his body, on top of being severely injured from falling 80 feet. This kid on the May 17th fell 200 onto his head. So I don't know how to, not necessarily agendizing tonight, but it's something we need to have a further discussion on, whether it's talking about a fence across the face, or at the very least getting some average enforcement. We're getting no love about this at all. That's what I had to say.
Thank you. Becky?
Am I allowed to ask a question? David, do you know, was he a resident of that neighborhood?
He was not. And his 2 friends were standing next to a fire battalion chief. I was up there trying to just, this is not the time or place to have a discussion about, this right here, sir, there's no time to have a policy discussion up on the cliff at 11 o'clock at night, but this is absurd. And they were like, I know, we're up here 2 or 3 times a year. It's ridiculous. And there were 2 people that were very upset. There were 2 males. And I just looked at them and said, they were clearly with him. And they were like, why aren't they getting him out? Why aren't they getting him out? And the fireman's like, look, it's going to take some time. He's 150 feet down the hill. Helicopters here. You see what we're doing. Just hang on a second. So I realized they were with him. And I said, hey, is this your buddy fell off? He goes, yeah. I said, you guys aren't from up here, are you? And they took that as an offensive comment, like, you don't belong up here. You have no business being up here. That's a free country. They can come up there, but they can't come up there at that hour. They can't be in the brush up there at night in the park where it's clearly no parking. They were not from the area. They were just up there to stand up the cliff and, drink their beers and throw the cups and the glass off the cliff. The whole bottom of the hill is littered with 2,000-3,000 red Solo cups, blue Solo cups, bottles, cans, and garbage. It's absurd. Mm-hmm. And they were literally getting not a single bit of enforcement. They were not from the area. They were at 20-year-old young men, and they parked illegally just to go up there in the first place. So
I saw it I can see it from my backyard. I saw the rescue effort, and it was massive.
I've never seen this. We've had this before. I've seen a helicopter with a couple trucks, but I've never seen 12 fire trucks.
Yeah.
2 helicopters. It was absolute madness.
I'm not sure what the answer would be if we had a meeting, and I think, maybe sometimes you think gating the community would be an answer, because I know I don't know, it's a tough one, but thanks for taking that on.
I don't know about getting to maybe a fence line, maybe not a huge 6-foot ugly fence or cycling fence, but something like 3 feet tall, just to keep people from that last 5 feet of edge. The other issue is that if someone gets arrested for drunk driving in the state of California and a single light is activated from a fire truck, an ambulance, or a cop, they're liable for the cost of the response from the moment a pen hits paper for a report, for the cost of the telephone pole. The replacement of a telephone pole today, it's about $8,000. And if you have an accident, that doesn't apply. But if you have a drunk driving related issue, because it's a criminal offense, their cities, there's a person in each city in California that's dedicated to doing that cost recovery. And why we're not billing somebody for the the $25,000 it costs for this hour between the personnel and the helicopters. You literally talk to them, they go, well, if it says no trespassing, LA Municipal Code such and such, that's a crime. Why aren't they being billed $1,000 or $500 for the misdemeanor? And the cops will literally say, look, dude, he got hurt on the hillside. That's enough punishment. I'm like, as far as I'm concerned, it's not, because there's no deterrent. The next person 6 months down the road is going to be just as damaged. And I think we've been lucky we haven't had a major fatality. This last guy was really hurt. And you don't even see the paper. It's just absurd. There's no coverage. There's no, hey, don't come up here. The signs up there is rusting saying we report all activity. They're not reporting anything. You can't get parking control up there. It's absurd.
I agree.
Thank you, David.
Yep.
Any other updates? With no further updates, next meeting is going to be on July 13th, 2022. We might or might not have a special meeting prior to that, but we'll discuss that if needed to be. And let's adjourn the meeting at 9:28 p.m.
Hey,
Thank you
Gabriel,
everyone for being here.
let me
Yes.
just chime in real
Oh.
quick. Let's try and get that gentleman that came to do that wildfire training next.
Yes, I will stay in touch with them and I will connect you to it.
Yeah, because now is the time.
I get you. I'm on the same page.
Everybody have a good 4th of July.
Yeah, have a good 4th.
Thank you, everyone. Happy
Good night.
Bye-bye.
Stay safe, don't get COVID.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Good night.
Good night.